What is up, everybody? What is happening? My oh my, Kev with the sexy on though. He put the sexy on it. Woo! It's the Fantasy Authority, guys. We are doing a free agency reaction podcast for you. We're here to give you the content that you guys have been wanting, been edging for, been irking for, as we're just hours away from free agency having gone live. And while deals are official, it's not really official yet, right? We can't have players like meeting up with each other. We got this crazy thing going around, something called COVID-19. I don't know. It's crazy. But nevertheless, we are here. We are going to chat with you guys about all that is happening in the NFL. And thank God for the NFL right now to give us something to talk about. I'm your host, Ryan Alexander, _W is where you can find me on Twitter. And I'm joined by 5 great guests tonight. We got Nate Henry at Nate Henry FF. We got Kevin Steele at Fantasy Rat 13, Derek Brown at DBro_FFB. We have the man Cody at C Kutzer FF, and then Ben Cummins is joining us. And Ben, I don't know what your handle is. That Ben Cummins FF probably?
Yeah, that's it. I'm like the guy in Dude, Where's My Car? Just, hey, I'm Jeff over here.
He's the one that changed his name when the intro to StreamYard. He just put Ben. Just like give him a hello, my name is Ben name tag on him.
Just keep it simple, you know.
I hear you.
The biggest legends out there have one name. Shout out Kobe.
Ooh, pour one out on that. 2020. We are here, guys. We are reacting to what's going on in free agency. There's a lot of moves that have been made, a lot of questionable moves, a lot of big moves, trades happening, and it's been all around crazy. So let's just set the scene right now. I mean, we got a lot of big name players moving all over the place. We'll start off with players who are sticking around. Ryan Tannehill, he's in Tennessee. He sticks around, gets a big contract there for 4 years, $118 million. Breeze is sticking around with the Saints. He's got the 2 years, $50 million coming up. Some quarterbacks are changing locations. We got Tom Brady, big signing, heading over to Tampa Bay, leaving New England after 20 years. So that's going to be an adjustment seeing Tom Brady in the NFC. We got Phillip Rivers going to the Colts on a 1-year deal. We got Nick Foles being traded to Chicago, quarterback competition there. It's been crazy. And that's just enough right there to just kind of set the slate. We got quarterbacks who are changing locations. We got some quarterbacks as well who haven't moved yet. Teddy Bridgewater, he signed a deal in Carolina. Marcus Mariota, who was the starter in Tennessee, Tannehill comes, takes his job. He's in Las Vegas now, not Oakland. It's just been wild. Jameis is still out there. Andy Dalton's still out there. Cam's still out there. So, fellas, let's talk about it. The QBs, they're moving around. Nate, I'm going to start with you, man. What's your first reaction to what's going on with the quarterback situation? What moves did you like? Did you not like? And let's just open up this forum.
Well, I mean, I guess I got to start where I'm located. I mean, the big news is that the Bears are moving on from Mitch Trubisky. They didn't bring in Nick Foles for no reason. I can't imagine that he doesn't end up winning that job. So I think that's probably a big upgrade for the Bears, but it's still not enough to get them over the hump.
Yeah, man, I hear you. That was crazy news for me too, being here in Chicago. I want to get other people's takes on it because I feel like I got the homer take. Cody, what say you about that move, man, or any of these other moves that happened for QB?
You were talking about it on Twitter earlier with Cam Newton. He's kind of who I wanted to see land in Chicago with A-Rob and Anthony Miller and the rest of them. I mean, the Tom Brady thing, you already touched on it. It's going to be super weird seeing him in a different uniform. I'm not sure how you guys feel about the value and what that does to Godwin and Evans. And this talk about he wants to bring AB with him, which would just – like that trio would just be filthy. It would suck for fantasy purposes, I feel like, but that would have to be the nastiest trio in NFL history, right? Like it has to be up there for 3 receivers like that.
Definitely up there.
Yeah, has to be. Phillip Rivers, yeah. I don't really. T.Y. Hilton's getting old. Paris Campbell hasn't shown to be healthy. I mean, you would think they would add somebody, but they traded their first overall pick to get Buckner to come in there. So I don't know what they're going to do with the draft. So it's just been wild all around. Is there Is there a favorite one that any of you guys have that you want to touch on?
They've all been fucking horrible. Let's just be honest, all right? Like, like I don't know. Like, I'm not excited about any of them that have fucking happened so far, to be honest with you. And the worst one has to be fucking. The Panthers are fucking stupid for moving on from Cam Newton to move on to fucking to maybe Alex Smith. Like, that's a ceiling, is maybe Alex Smith. I don't even know if it's that high. I think he's an average to really below average fucking quarterback. Like, he was the one guy all offseason that we were hearing, like, people were talking about, man, he could get $30 million. I'm like, if this dude gets 30 fucking million, Pat Mahomes deserves fucking $100 million a year. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, this guy does not deserve this. He's a backup quarterback at best. And that you give him $60 million and you move on from Cam Newton. Like, I get it that Cam Newton hasn't necessarily done what they've hoped. He's been hurt last year, but like everyone's acting like Cam Newton's dead. Like, he's just completely lost. Like, he's still, when healthy, to me, a top 15, top 20 quarterback at worst. And they're just moving on from the guy. And now I don't know where he's going to end up because there's not many spots left. You know, the game of musical chairs, there's only not many spots left for him to land, right? And so maybe it's New England, and I think I would like that, going to New England and in that spot. But right now, like, I haven't seen a move where I'm, like, thrilled with. You know, I don't know what Tom Brady has left in the tank, and Phillip Rivers is decrepit and should retire, but he's not, and going to Indy, so I don't really think it's an upgrade for him at all, going from San Diego to there. And then I guess you have Tyrod Taylor, who could be the biggest beneficiary because now he's supposed to start. Yeah. But let's face it, I think they're going to I think they're going to draft a quarterback, and then I think he's going to get the Baker Mayfield treatment. We'll start for 4 or 5 games, and then the rookie will start.
And by the way, with Phillip Rivers, you know, the CDC, or actually the White House, I should say, recommended that we shouldn't be in groups of more than 10. That means
he got to sleep in the garage.
No.
He got to sleep in the garage.
He's sleeping in that stretch limo, man. With like 3 kids. If anything
good has come from this, has been the memes. Though we've had some classic memes, like especially Tom Brady has been great from the Reddit community and everything else. That's about been the biggest positive for the quarterback movement.
Dude, the Josh McCown thing, where it was like he's like the best thing I've ever contributed to all of the NFL, was like them Tampa using Bay. Like transposing his body like onto like new players going to different teams because that dude's played for like half the league.
They did they really use his body? Because I saw that with Odell Beckham. They used his body to transpose Odell Beckham. Oh man.
So funny, man.
That's an incredible tweet. Kev, I do like that you ended with Tyrod Taylor because I don't know, probably everybody already knows this, but the head coach of the Chargers, Anthony Lynn, was Tyrod Taylor's OC in 2016, was recently on Adam Schefter's podcast talking about how much faith he has in him. So yeah, the odds are that they're going to draft a quarterback, right? But you know, you have to see how the draft falls. There's definitely a chance that Tyrod's value, especially in Superflex dynasty leagues and things like that, skyrockets. We know he can be a valuable fantasy asset, and we know that the weapons there in LA are really solid. So that's interesting to me. Obviously, Tom Brady, I think we're burying the lead a little bit, is very interesting. I think that for me, it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. I think that it's kind of boring from a fantasy perspective. Like Jameis is always going to be Jameis, but he made it interesting because he's always playing aggressive, right, and throwing the ball down the field. Tom Brady is not going to be that guy. I do think from a real life perspective, though, Tampa Bay definitely just got better. I saw Evan Silva say that Jameis turned the ball over 35 total times last year. That's the amount of turnovers Tom Brady has in the last 4 years. So, I mean, obviously he's going to protect the ball. Their team's pretty impressive, especially on offense.
Ben, did you see that video they put out about like there was like 20 dropped interceptions that Jameis had too? Like Duke could have easily had check Twitter, man. Like there's easily like Duke could have had like 40. He could have gone 30 and 40. Easy if like at least half of those are caught.
Yeah, and
you throwing that out there,
and you see what the league is doing, right? Like, I mean, I think it's hard for me to wrap my head around Cam Newton not having a starting job, and I think that I definitely think that a big part of that is with coronavirus. You know, teams can't do their own medical evaluation on Cam. He needs to get fully cleared. I still think that he'll probably start somewhere, even though there's not that many spots. Jameis looking like it might be a backup spot, and you know, you see the league, you know, saying that they're not going to value the turnovers, are not going to put up with it, right? So with Bruce Arians, with all the weapons, Cody, you brought it up with the chance. It definitely sounds like with that relationship with Antonio Brown, let's not kid ourselves. Antonio Brown's a lunatic, but he's still one of the best wide receivers in NFL history. So if they do that, I know that's speculative. It's really exciting. And I think you look at the division, Atlanta's kind of plateaued. Carolina's tanking. So Kev, I think the Teddy Bridgewater is fine for me because I think it's a stopgap, definitely a bridge quarterback. So we'll see what they do in the draft. And as long as we have a quarterback there that will dump off to Christian McCaffrey and keep Christian McCaffrey's value sky high, I'm good. And I think you look at New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is still really good, but they're getting old, and there's going to be a time where they plateau and fall off too. So I definitely think Tampa Bay is obviously in the conversation to, be the division winner there and, very interestingly be a Super Bowl contender. So to me, that's, obviously the most important and interesting quarterback ad here.
You guys hear what a pro Ben is? Calling Bridgewater a bridge quarterback. You're a pro, man.
Appreciate that. That literally didn't even cross my mind. That's how dumb I am.
But the thing with the Brady thing though is that it's a 2-year window. So like if they don't win, I mean this is obviously a win now move for them, and they're not. So I don't know. Like you said, I think it is a better in terms of real football move for Jameis.
Right.
But at the same time, as people that play fantasy football, and that's what we're here to talk about. It does suck that they got rid of Jameis because Jameis was fantastic for fantasy, right?
I agree,
especially for DFS, just fucking tastic. Every time, just keep fucking targeting that fucking Tampa Bay game every time because that dude's gonna turn it over 2 times. And they're gonna be playing from behind the entire time, so they're just gonna be airing it out. It was fantastic. So from a fantasy perspective, it sucks.
I agree, but can we all agree that Chris Godwin, who lines up a lot in the slot, is going to continue to eat?
Ben, per Twitter, I've heard that Chris Godwin is more of a perimeter receiver.
I did see that.
Yeah.
That is just, oh my God, dude. I try not to because I actually like Jim Nagy, but I had to, man. I was like, he's like, oh, he needs Godwin and Evans are great perimeter receivers. They need somebody, basically he should have just tweeted out, they need somebody small and white that can play the slot. And I'm like, that's Chris Godwin's the slot wide receiver.
They got it.
The exact number of, I don't understand it. Chris Godwin is that dude. What are you talking about?
Chris Godwin's that dude. And I'm going to continue to sit here and say that OJ Howard's good. I'm not letting one season ruin that. So I'm interested to see if there's a chance, that can revitalize as well.
So I'm going to weigh in on this a little bit too. I like a lot of these quarterback moves, at least for what it means for some of these weapons around, in the sense of I think it's kind of funny how everybody just is automatically just talking about how Mike Evans is going to die. He's this dude is not running go routes every damn snap. Let's throw that out there. That is not happening. I threw it out there on Twitter. I'm like, he 49%, 50% of his routes are less than 12 yards or less. So this guy, yes, he has all these air yards, but a lot of that's targets and things of that nature. It's not just he's not just running 40 yards down the field every single time. Bruce Arians, we've seen this guy mold his offense around whatever quarterback he has and whatever skill talent he has. They are going to accentuate whatever Tom Brady does well. I think Tom Brady still has something left. I don't think it's a lot, but I think that this is a better NFL move. I think that Tampa is firmly going all in on trying to win. I mean, there are rumors out there talking about they're going to trade for Todd Gurley. And this team is not actually. They have some holes in that team. Let's not kid ourselves. The secondary is not great. The O-line is not great. But there are some pluses to this team. And they can legit win 9-10 games this year coming up. Not and get it in the wild card. And if you got a ticket to the dance, you can end up in the Super Bowl. We've seen teams get hot. That happens. So if they can pull out 9-10 wins, that's a possibility. And so one of the, as bad of a move as it was for the Bears to go out and give a 4th for Nick Foles, when you have Cam Newton sitting here, and dear God in heaven, the Panthers, their aspirations of what they're going to try to get back for Cam Newton, it can't be high. could they have not played this any worse? Possibly. Like I understand
Especially with
you
Cam
going
Newton
out and
coming
being
out.
aggressive and trying to sign Teddy before anybody else can. If that's the guy you want to be your stopgap, and it looks like the contract, he's going to be the starter for 2 years, or at least that's the way the money looks like. And I haven't seen the full breakdown, but at least what I've seen on Twitter, 2-year guy. So the Brady connection is real. That they obviously have some love for the guy. If you're going to give him 2 years, and the contract's not just a one and done, so I think they view him as a little bit like a bridge plus. But my whole thing is they signed Bridgewater. You don't have any you just destroyed every bit of leverage, and you have the Bears going out giving a fourth for Nick Foles. For me, part of it is I'm like, why did you not get Cam? Do you just not have any interest, any faith, anything for that dude? Because the Panthers can't be expecting anything more than that, considering his contract, considering they have absolutely no leverage in the situation. None. I don't understand why the Bears are going out giving a fourth for Nick Foles. Now, I like it in the sense of I like the move for the players around Nick Foles. Now, Nick Foles is not great. Let's not kid ourselves. But can he deliver a more accurate ball than Mitch Trubisky? Which is not saying much, but yes, he can. So I like it for Allen Robinson. I actually like it for the running backs too, because if you look at last year, whenever Nick Foles was under center, that's when you saw Leonard Fournette get these massive targets. His target share jumped from 15 to 21% with Foles under center. So are you looking at Tariq Cohen? Are you looking at if all this David Montgomery stuff about them using him as a full workhorse, does he get used more in the passing game? And that's what I'm looking at from these quarterback moves. Like Ben is talking about. Teddy B, he's not great. I'm going to roll with him in DFS some weeks because he's going to be freaking dirt cheap. And he's going to have some week where he gets 3 touchdowns based off of 2 check down TDs to CMC. I like a lot of these moves.
Let DJ Moore take a screen.
Yes, absolutely. So I like a lot of these moves for the players around them, not necessarily the quarterbacks themselves.
So I get the Nick. Well, I don't get it, but at the same time, I understand. I know why they did it, mainly because of the familiarity with Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
And
Right.
his time
KC.
in Kansas City when Nick Foles was there. So Nick Foles knows his offense and stuff like that. I understand that part of it, but the money aspect of what they're paying him, I think is
crazy.
Ridiculous. And I feel like there's better options. You're right. Like Cam would have been a better option. Even Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's what, 17 million, I think, and then has really no dead money. Go after somebody like that you can get out of quickly.
Well, they're restructuring the deal. Kev.
Yeah, I thought I saw there's a restructure. So what are they?
Yeah.
Paying?
It's 50 million, right? Is what they're paying.
That was thrown out
15.
there, but there was also a tweet that was thrown out there later today that said that actually hasn't happened. So a lot of that is speculative now. Now, how much of that it comes to light is real, but dear God in heaven, a fourth for Nick Foles? You told me you couldn't have gotten a Cam for a fourth?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I think it comes down to as well. I mean, not only is he familiar with Nagy, but he's familiar with Laser. He's familiar with Dialippo. He's familiar with the offensive line coach. Everybody in the organization he's familiar with. And when we're talking about, if we want to throw in the situation at hand and when is football activities going to start in person, if they have to, they're not going to try and want to teach somebody the offense. I mean, that was the whole thing with Trubisky, was that he was, learning the game at this time and wasn't able to pick up on Nagy's, plays. And now they have a guy in there who I think they feel comfortable with if they have a shortened off season, so to speak, that they can just throw Nick in there and he can do what they need to do. And they're paying him 15, which is that's not starter money, for quarterbacks at this point. So I mean, for somebody who's familiar and for somebody, they're obviously in win now mode. They made this Khalil Mack trade that hasn't really come to fruition. We don't really know who won that trade. The Raiders could still possibly win that trade at the rate that they're going because he was in there to win them playoff games. I mean, that's the fact. And if they're not doing that with the quarterback at hand, then you have to make some adjustments. So they go out there, they get Robert Quinn. They're trying to bolster the defense. I think everything they're doing is saying we don't have time to let Mitchell get there. So we just need to get somebody in here who's going to start saving some people's jobs, and Foles can rattle off some wins to do that. And I think they'll figure out the situation when they're not dealing with oh, we only have 2 seconds, 1/4, a fifth, and a couple 7th-round picks, right? Like they're not drafted in the first round. So they really just need to focus on the offensive line. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I was just going to say that is a really interesting point about the coronavirus and, how much that can affect the offseason, because I do think it's kind of funny. Like I saw the tweet come in that, all the coaches have that familiarity with Nick Foles. Obviously, coaching matters. That's important. I just think it's kind of funny that we do see that a lot, especially with quarterbacks, rather than the tweet saying something like, the Bears watched the tape of Cam Newton healthy the last couple of years. And they're really excited to get him because they think he's a good player, not just that there's familiarity. I mean, and I'm a Broncos fan who just watched the Broncos do this last year, trade a 4th, I think it was, for Joe Flacco. And it's like we're an average team trading us a pretty valuable draft pick for a quarterback that's not going to move the needle. There's no point in doing that. Either be bad or be great. And it's not, it doesn't make as much sense as in the NBA, of course, but like why? And so I think, to me, I just put this Nick Foles move in the same category. And I think maybe it's, because I kept saying on Twitter, like, I want to be the one that guesses Tom Brady to the Bears, because I don't know, it just made a lot of sense to me. But I think that they are kind of riding the fence a little bit of, we want to replace Mitchell, maybe, but we don't want the name that we bring in to officially do that right off the bat. We want to give him a chance to compete because we invested so much. And I think in the long run, that potentially can hurt. But yeah, we've talked a lot about this. The Mariota and Carr thing is interesting. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, we got a question in here. Will Mariota take Carr's starting position for the Las Vegas Raiders?
I mean, that's kind of what the talk is. What is he this year's Tannehill, right? Like that's going to be kind of the new thing.
I put that out there just being goofy, just to be fun, but I don't think that's happening. I think Mariota's not, #not good.
I don't know. Like it's tough with him because his first couple of years, like he
destroyed bad defenses.
He was on a trajectory. Well, we can say that about a lot of quarterbacks, to be honest.
But he never played up against good defenses, and then he got hurt.
You could say the same thing about. You could say the same thing about Jared Goff. You can say the same thing about Derek Carr. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks we can say that about. But I think his confidence was completely wrecked. He needs to be rebuilt and kind of. I think maybe this could be a decent situation for him. I still feel like they need to add some more weapons.
But Kev, is Gruden the guy that's going to rebuild some confidence?
I don't know. I don't think he's a good fit, right? Like Mariota or Gruden wants a guy that he can, that's super fiery and everything else, and that's not Marcus Mariota. No. I don't know if this is a good fit for him at all. I personally would rather have seen him go to like New England. I thought that would have been a good spot, even as a backup and kind of, not somebody that steps in as a starter. But I think I wouldn't be surprised, though, depending on how the Raiders season go, if Mariota is the starter by the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised. Because I don't think Gruden has a lot of faith in Derek Carr.
He will be. So to answer the question specifically, yes, I do think he's taking Carr's position. I obviously think that, everything we've seen, I think the Raiders want to move on from Carr, and why wouldn't you? I mean, this goes back to kind of when we first started the pod, right? Like, Kev, you were right. There was a moment there a little while where I thought Carr was ascending and he was pretty, and he had a few moments, but he's not good. The problem is for me, Derek, I'm with you. I think it's very obvious at this point that Marcus Mariota isn't good either. So, I mean, my main answer to the question would be, who cares? I almost think it would almost be more annoying if Mariota did start, and I think he will at some point, because at least with Derek Carr, we know what we're getting. We know he's going to drop back, and the guys that are open, he will at least be able to get it to Darren Waller, etc. Mariota's, he can be hot and cold, but most of the time it's cold. That I don't think that would be much of a boom at all for any pass catchers. Obviously, he has shown the chemistry with Delaney Walker and things like that in the past. So obviously, it shouldn't be too much of a shakeup if that does happen. I do think it will happen, though.
My whole thing is I just like Ben's kind of talking about it. I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
like Mariota's not like I don't think Mariota is good. That's a fact. And Carr, I don't think is very good either. But I don't think that this is an offensive situation. This is not a team situation that I feel like Mariota can step in and he's just going to do well. Mariota.
How many people would have said that about Ryan Tannehill, though, heading into this year?
I never thought Ryan Tannehill was trash. He was on like bad teams. We actually saw that guy play good for stretches. Like despite
Well, I mean,
Gase.
but yeah, right. And I mean, we've seen.
But we haven't seen Mariota do it for like a full season at all. We've seen Ryan Tannehill do
He's
that
always
for a
gotten
full
hurt,
season.
right? Like he's that's been one of his biggest problems. He's always got hurt.
But if you're talking about Mariota has like his confidence is wrecked, I could say the same thing about Derek Carr. Like Gruden's like just collecting misfit toys. Like Carr was a different type of quarterback. Like I think his career arc would have been a little bit different if he didn't totally get wrecked by injuries. He has not been the same quarterback since he's been hurt so many different times.
He was
If
like
you look
that
at the way he
before
began.
that, though. He was the same way before that. Before he got hurt, like it was like I remember having these conversations plenty before he ever got hurt and while he was on his MVP run. He's always been a quarterback that's great against really bad defenses, but anytime he ever played a good defense, you'd go through the box score every single time, and he was terrible. He was never good. He is that quarterback. He's always been that quarterback.
We're talking about Derek Carr?
Yes, Derek Carr. That's how Derek Carr's always.
I mean, we had the same conversation about Mariota.
Right. No,
right.
no
And
doubt.
that's the
I'm not advocating that. I'm saying that I think Marcus Mariota is good at all. Like I think
Derek
he's.
Carr
I
is
think
so
in a
unexciting.
great situation. I think you could say that maybe he could be an average quarterback. Like I
Right.
think that's what he could be.
And Kev, I love it because to be perfectly honest, like I love your points because what I thought about Tannehill last year, although I thought Mariota was bad, so I'm like I could see Tannehill starting at some point. Didn't see that what happened, but the way that I thought about Tannehill last year is the way that I think about Mariota now. I would say the biggest difference would be I definitely think there's going to be regression this year with Tannehill, just because the situation was so good. Derrick Henry just beasting, love Derrick Henry, play action. The offensive line being well, the surroundings, like you just said, in a situation like that, maybe Mariota plays well. Problem is he had his opportunity and he fucked it up. But the situation was so great. Okay, what about the Raiders? What do they have? I mean, their offense is not very exciting at all. So I don't think the surroundings are going to be there for when Mariota comes in to help him, be that guy, even if he is the starter. Now in Indianapolis, that's an interesting situation because I think Rivers can exceed there with a good offensive line. So that's an intriguing one as well.
I actually think
we
Rivers is
brought
an
up.
upgrade. I think he's an upgrade over Brissett. If you
Oh,
look
yeah.
at all
Well, that's not
the
saying a
all
whole
the
lot
actors.
either.
No, it's
Absolutely.
not saying a whole lot, but as far as the value that you're going to get on a lot of these players, give me T.Y. Hilton is probably what his ADP is. Give me Marlon Mack in a better offense because he's probably going to get around 12 touchdowns this year.
Yep.
I don't care if he doesn't catch passes. He can be the discount Derrick Henry this year.
Yep.
That's all fine with me because they still have a top 10 offensive line. We talk like they traded for Buckner, so they're upgrading their defense. We get Darius Leonard for hopefully 16 games. If they have a better team and they're in the red zone more often, there is a scenario where Marlon Mack has 15 touchdowns at the end of this year. That's a real scenario. That's a possibility if this offense is better. And so I will absolutely take a lot of these guys at their ADPs and best balls and dynasty. If you're win now right now, dude, you can get it. T.Y. Hilton is I'm not going to say he's free, but there are a lot of people that'll be like, all right, fine. You give me an early second, I'll give you T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
Like that's a trade that you can make in a lot of different leagues for people if they're rebuilding and stuff like that with pick fever and stuff. And I would make that move if I was going to try to win this year. If T.Y. Hilton still has the sauce for one more season, he's going to sit here and put up a top 15 season and you get him for peanuts in all different formats.
And I think go ahead, Kev.
Well, I was just going to say, in the last one, I mean, not to move it along, but we haven't really talked about it, is the New England situation. Do we think that they're going to go into the season with Stidham as the quarterback? Like,
No.
Is that, do you think that where they're heading? Because we haven't heard nothing about what they're planning on. Now, they obviously have options. Like we said, Dalton. Cam is also
Maybe.
out there. Like, I mean, there's other options they could go down. Jacoby Brissett, they could acquire him.
I'll say Stidham is a maybe.
Acquire
Did
him
anybody
back,
watch that
right?
dude?
Yeah.
Acquire him back.
I think
But
Stidham is a maybe, dude.
I
Like,
also-
did you
I
see him
also
destroy last year in the preseason? He played
Yeah, but I
really
also saw
good
but
last year.
You also, well, I mean, it's probably vividness bias, but like I remember the game they pulled him after it was like a
The
blowout.
pick six. Yeah.
He fucking
Yeah.
pulled his ass. But
I'm gonna go with 100% no. He will not be starting week 1.
because I mean, he doesn't. I mean, I guess anything is possible, right? Maybe he's the next fucking Tom Brady. Who fucking knows? I strike twice, but
It's a Patriots thing, though, dude. That you know, we all know sitting here,
Yeah.
they're gonna go out and get freaking Cam for nothing. Like
Yes.
Bill is gonna go out there and like be like,
the
here's
thing though is
here's a fourth, here's
Who-
a fifth.
I agree.
Whatever.
they
Cam
still
Like,
have no
starter.
weapons.
it's insane.
Yeah.
They still
Right.
have nobody.
Right.
They have N'Keal
Okay.
Harry.
Nothing
They have,
there.
the team's
Okay.
the same, right? It's crazy. I don't know what they're doing.
But the
like,
thing about that, if Cam is healthy, does he need that much around him?
he needs something. Like, what does he have? Julian
Yeah.
Edelman?
Julian Edelman's something.
Jacoby Myers, baby.
If N'Keal Harry
Can't-
is anything,
Cam's the type of quarterback that has proven. Now, granted, it's been years and he has been hurt, but he's proven you don't need an amazing cast around him because that's not the style quarterback.
he
that
made
is anyway.
Calvin
Yeah, they had
Benjamin a
Greg
thing.
Olsen,
Let's throw
right?
that out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
He made
but-
Calvin Benjamin
one of the
a player.
greatest, one of the greatest
Yeah.
fantasy quarterback seasons of
Well,
all time. Kelvin Benjamin tears his ACL. That was the only guy he had going into that season. He did that with Greg Olsen, who's a beast,
We're-
was a beast, and Jericho Kotchery. I mean, that's so.
Ted
We're-
Ginn,
we're a
too.
couple-
Ted Ginn
we're a
played
couple
that
years-
year, but
Again.
yeah.
We're a couple of years removed from what the Cam that we know, though. Like, I
Right.
think
I
we
agree.
do have to come to the acknowledgement that, like,
100%.
I mean, the NFL is a fraternity, and like Cam is not moving. Like, that says something about Cam to me. Like, 30
I think Cam's not
organizations
fully
are out
healthy.
there.
Yeah, but
Right, but that's
physical.
what I'm
the team
saying. I
doctors
think,
can't do an evaluation right now.
Yeah.
I think 29 other teams.
I think that's
that
why
as well,
you saw
too.
Carolina totally flood the situation because they had to
Listen.
sign Teddy and Cam wasn't healthy enough to do physicals for other teams. I
Right.
think that's part of it that nobody's talking about too.
And I've never been the biggest Cam guy, but are you going to take Cam at a discounted price if he's healthy or Jared Stidham? Like, I'd be interested if the Patriots do that. If I can just put a bow on this conversation for myself, though, and Kev, you just said it. I should have brought it up earlier. Like, we all want to, literally all of Twitter wants to bury Tom Brady already. Like, this dude is the GOAT, in my opinion. And yes, he's old as hell, and he is definitely falling off for sure. But Kev, you said it. What were the weapons last year? I mean, he's going into a situation that's much better for him. He's gonna be good. So I think just the Rivers and Tom Brady, if I can just put a bow on it, is these moves aren't that sexy, especially for fantasy football, but they're gonna make the teams better in real life, in my opinion. And if they do that, they're obviously gonna make the offenses better in some way. And Derek, like you said, it could be touchdown distribution or just touchdowns at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, same thing for Mike Evans, right? Oh, Tom Brady doesn't throw the ball deep, so this isn't really a good fit. Well, what if he just throws 12 touchdowns to Mike Evans in the red zone? Like, we have to keep our minds open to this. And so I just think, like you said, Derek, there's discounts that you can get right now.
All the
and
Colts are
options
going to be
like-
discounts.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of them.
And same thing, Phillip
Nobody
Rivers and
wants.
T.Y. Hilton.
Nobody wants them.
Do Phillip Rivers and T.Y. Hilton, like when you first think about it, seem like a great match? Maybe not. But I think we also stereotype T.Y. as this guy that's not that good of a receiver and he's a deep threat. That's not true. T.Y. is a beast. He can
Yeah.
win all over the field, and he will do that with Rivers. And so I agree. Like, that's a discounted guy. So that's where I'm looking at, at the value and at the headlines there.
Well,
Yeah, people that think that Ty isn't going to be good. Sorry, Nate, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that they're not watching what he was doing with Keenan Allen, what Rivers was doing with
Right.
Keenan Allen out there.
Right.
Like, that's just ludicrous to me to think that. Go ahead, Nate.
Oh, I was just going to bring up that nobody seems to be talking about OJ Howard in Tampa. We know that Tom Brady loves a tight end, but we also know that Bruce Arians hates a tight end. So what wins?
Are they going to?
I'm not giving up. I'm not
gonna-
giving up.
Derek, for getting what I said. But
Yeah, but like I just think though, like with that situation and OJ Howard and everything else, and really as a whole, do you think Bruce Arians is going to scheme his offense around Tom Brady's strengths and weaknesses, or do you think he's going
Yes.
to force Tom Brady into doing what he likes to do?
He's going to scheme it, dude. He's
And
going
that's
to
what's so
scheme it.
exciting.
He is
That's
a
what's so
good
exciting,
coach.
right?
Because that is kind of though what Bruce Arians is, right, Mister? No risk it, no biscuit. Like that's what he wants. He wants you to take risk. He wants you to not check it down every time and be this super safe quarterback. That's not what Bruce Arians looks for in a quarterback.
But that's what's so exciting, right? Because Bruce Arians is a beast. Coaching matters. I definitely think, Kev, that's a great point. Like, I think it will fall somewhere in the middle, but they're obviously going to game plan for what works with Brady. They've had these conversations before Brady officially made the decision. So when you look at that, now granted, Rich Rebar had a sobering tweet for me about how, if we want to talk about, this is going to be good for OJ Howard, and I want it to be, and I believe in OJ Howard as a player, and I think it can be a good fit. Rich Rebar, though, is saying, look at what Jameis was. He made Nick O'Leary, a great player in college,
Yep.
and he did that with Cam Brate. So obviously there are some negatives that have to be considered too. But for me, I do think that the way Tom Brady wins and the way that he plays, still keeps hope alive for OJ Howard because I personally believe that he's a good player. So I'm not going to give up yet.
I love OJ Howard's talent, but I just don't know. I don't know if he had an atrocious year. Like if you look at every single metric, like even the games played, like he couldn't block. He wasn't on the field. Even when he was, I mean, he just had a terrible season and totally face planted. So could he bounce back? Sure. I think. I mean, at his ADP, and if people want to play the Brady narrative, I probably will have no exposure to him, and I think he's a better sell in Dynasty than a buy. And probably in redraft, I probably won't even have much exposure.
But what are his prices now? They got to be depressed after that terrible year.
And dude, it depends on how much people buy into that narrative and all the Brady loves tight ends and stuff like that. I mean, I think that we see that players get hype as the news goes and stuff, and people that. I think OJ Howard is a guy that people have, if you bought in and you have him on your teams, and especially in Dynasty, then you're a believer. Like that's your dude. And you're going to go down with the ship probably. Like that's not a guy that you're probably going to like easily give up, and it's going to take something, and people are probably not going to offer enough for you to sit here and give up on it just because the promise, like you're talking about, Ben, is possibly there. But I just don't know, because here's the other thing. Bruce Arians, the factor of like we saw with David Johnson, he likes to use his running backs in the pass game. That's not Rojo. That's not Barber. They add somebody that dear God in heaven, people are get all up in my head. I think if they add a running back that possibly can catch passes and that target share goes Evans and Godwin, 1A, 1B, and then you have a running back possibly as the third option there. Like if they added like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the draft and that guy is siphoning targets, then OJ Howard, what's he got left? I don't know if there's enough, if he has a big enough piece of that pie. He's probably fighting with ancillary weapons for targets. And I just don't know if the target share is going to be high enough for him to be able to do anything.
That's good points.
So right now, Brady is going at 1308 according to Fantasy Football Calculator.
Where is OJ Howard?
Howard is 1002 actually. Went as early as 802 and as late as 1206.
But where's he going on the position? Like tight end what?
Un momento, por favor.
So to a certain extent, people still believe.
Yeah.
So I'm in that boat. All right. Yeah. I mean, everything comes down to price. I mean, those are really good points, Derek. And obviously, Brady's pie is smaller than it used to be.
I think it ultimately depends on though, like where the community comes in on this. Like,
exactly.
We have so much time, right? Like, between now and August, like if everybody starts hyping this, then you're going to see it fly up. But I did see, which is crazy, that Tampa Bay right now is third in terms of odds to win the NFC Championship. Only San Francisco and New Orleans are ahead of them.
That has jumped so much. Like, oh my gosh, people were putting out there about the odds and stuff like that. Elliot, we were talking about before we turned the mics on. He was throwing out there about like the odds and stuff, and there were some great odds before the Brady news became official.
Yeah. I mean, they got it
crazy.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, I have to, do a little more of a deep dive, but they're in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, NFC South is going to be great having Brady and Breeze down there, both battling each other twice a year. So that'll be good.
That's going to be a fun division.
Absolutely.
Who falls off the cliff first?
I mean, Breeze has got to be pissed, that's for sure. Before we touch on running backs real quick, Taysom Hill, anybody spending the first round on the restricted free agent there?
Hell no.
I just want to talk about it because there was a lot of talk about Taysom Hill a couple weeks ago, and now it's been crickets. So I just wanted to see.
Well, I think
that shows you what they think about it.
The Patriots were like looking into him or something like that. I don't know. Why do that? Just use your first round pick on Jalen Hurts and call it a day. I don't know.
And they might do that.
They could.
For sure.
They could. I mean, I think it shows that maybe there is more than we want to give it credit, that there is something to the fact of how much Peyton does love Taysom. I think that there is. Now, I went back and watched preseason video and stuff, and I was hoping to see some better things than what I saw about Taysom and how far he got into his progressions and his reads. And
he's not a quarterback.
No, I didn't see great things. I'll put it that way. I was hoping to see a ray of light. and I didn't see it.
All of Twitter, we can cut the joke, right? He's not a quarterback. We're all in agreement,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Nope, they need to make that dude like they showed flashes.
He's a
They
hybrid.
used him as a move tight end some, and come on, make that dude a U tight end, and let's go.
I mean, I love the way Sean Payton uses him. That's his ceiling right there. I wish a team would have used Tim Tebow like that. I love it, but let's not change anything. Okay, it's not getting crazy.
He's Cordell Stewart. Keep him as slash.
Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. I mean, Taysom Hill's great. I love him as a player. But he's not a quarterback, so we can cut that conversation.
I wish we could get some tight end eligibility out of DFS on him. That would be freaking fantastic
Oh, man.
on DK.
Well,
Baby.
I mean, I think everyone's come around to it now, but showdown slates. I mean, he
Yep.
was the nuts.
Yeah.
yeah, he's always the man.
FanDuel had him. FanDuel had him at
Oh
tight end.
yeah, but nobody plays no FanDuel, man.
I know. Wait,
Dude,
No,
Let's go.
nobody plays no FanDuel. Let's just
So-
throw that out there.
some of us win on
Man,
FanDuel,
DraftKings,
so
DraftKings.
we'll take
Well, yeah,
that. We'll take
anybody.
that.
I
That's
mean,
true, Ryan. Yeah, count
With those
stacks.
We'll take
salaries,
that money.
man.
Hey,
Count
if the
those
money's
salaries.
not going to be
Hey,
had,
Everybody's
if
like,
the
I
money's
made
not-
this
stacks,
crazy
my guy.
lineup
Count
on
those stacks,
FanDuel.
my
It's
guy.
like, well, you can make
Hey.
all kinds of crazy lineups on FanDuel. The salaries are wonky, man.
Listen,
Bananas,
who was this
bananas.
tight end for Seattle? I can't even think of his name already.
Jacob Hollister. He's
Hollister.
fine.
Jacob Hollister, bro.
Yeah.
You better only shop at Hollister for the rest of your life. Oh my god.
Shout out Maddie though. Shout out to Maddie.
Shout out
Gio.
Maddie.
Shout out to Matt.
Matty
Yeah.
D.
Yeah, Matty D. Matty, of course, you get the shout out. We're gonna move it on to running
course.
backs. Slow moving market here for the running backs, guys. We got a lot. I want to open up the forum just mostly on the guys who have not signed yet, who are still out there and still available, but definitely not as interesting as the wide receivers, which I know is gonna take them some time.
Yeah,
So
let's keep
get
the
some
running
quick-
back conversation
let's keep-
short.
Let's get some quick hitters here on the running backs. We got Kenyon Drake, who's getting the transition tag from Arizona. There were reports that Jordan Howard was going to sign with Miami. That was yesterday before the free agency went live. I haven't seen anything about Jordan Howard in Miami,
I thought they announced
today.
it.
They announced it 2
Did
years.
they?
10
He's
10
on
million.
Miami.
Yep.
Okay.
2 years, 10
I just want to
million.
make sure.
He's
2
on
years,
Miami,
10 million.
as is
So,
93% of the other free agents out there.
right. Exactly. And we get into it, Ben, because we only have like Jalen Richard is the only other one that signed officially, right? Yeah, running back.
Keep free agent running backs away from the Broncos. We can keep crickets there, and I think. We can keep this simple, right? I mean, Kenyon Drake and David Johnson.
Right, David Johnson, yes.
Skyrockets for both of them. I mean, David Johnson didn't look good last year, but I'm not ready to bury him just yet either. We know Bill O'Brien, who's a complete donk. However, let's look at trends. He loves to run the ball. He loves to use running backs. He loves to pass to running backs. Deshaun Watson. When you make a trade like that, you're committing to David Johnson, and obviously Carlos Hyde, who's been one of the most fun talked about players on this podcast for years. Carlos Hyde was really good for Houston. We're going to slide David Johnson in there, so I think David Johnson is a huge winner right now, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, David
go
Johnson
ahead, Kevin.
though. But let's say with David Johnson, like I've done some best ball drafts already. I was getting David Johnson in the 6th and 7th round.
Oh,
That's insane.
that's incredible.
man.
Well,
That's
everybody
insane.
was off of him.
Well, because everybody thinks he died. Because Arizona buried him.
100%.
This was before the trade or after the trade?
No, before.
Okay, well, yeah,
But
I don't know. Is he going to
Yeah.
go that much higher? Like, is David Johnson going to be?
He's got to go. I mean,
I think if he goes anywhere, I think you could end up saying like third.
Gotta be a
fourth
fourth round.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think it's going to
fourth
be as
sounds
high
good.
as people think. But like with him, like exactly, I know where you're going with this, Derek. But like I've been saying this like all year with him is like people act like they everybody saw the one clip everybody showed where
and that
he's
clip
running
wasn't
really
that
slow.
bad. It really wasn't.
Right, and people are like, "Oh my God, he's dead. He's
It
dead. We're
looked
done
bad,
with him." And
but-
this guy's been horrible. And I'm like, "Bro, like before he got hurt, he was an RB5. Like he was was putting up. Like,
They
he was doing
forget,
great.
man.
Yeah,
And like people forget that.
They forget what he looked like
He was
in
an
weeks
he was
1
an
through
every week
5.
starter. Yeah,
They forget that because they want to like Twitter gets all up in its feels about certain things and narratives get pushed. And Arizona absolutely, I cannot believe they got that much in the trade after they buried this guy. Talking about like Kenyon Drake's our guy, that like David Johnson's basically nothing. This guy played through tons of injuries and looked like a corpse running between the tackles last year. and they still got this in the trade. Keim has to be just like, all right, baby, who wants the money? We going to the strip club. We're living it up tonight. Like, I cannot believe Bill O'Brien just gave us all this. Like, that's insane. But I love David Johnson this year because I think that he's going to get the volume as long as, and it is a question. I'm not going to bury that. It's a question. Can he stay healthy? But if he could stay healthy, Carlos Hyde dealt with tons of injuries in his past. They kept his butt on the field, and he got 1,000 yards on the ground this year.
The only thing I would say that's concerning with him going to Houston is, one, it feels like they acquired him. It depends on how they utilize him, right? Because if they utilize him as and don't highlight his strengths, because he is not between the tackles runner. Like, it's just not his strength. Never has been. And it's to get him out in space, and that is the best way to utilize him. And so I am somewhat concerned with that in terms of how far he can go. Like, I think if you can get him in a great spot, if you can get him in third or fourth round, I think that's terrific value if that's where he ends up going.
Agreed.
Because I do have questions because one, Deshaun Watson doesn't do a lot of check down and doesn't. But if they can utilize David Johnson correctly and get him into space and line him up as a wide receiver and use him in all in those facets, like, I think David Johnson can be fine. But I do think there is some concern because if they're planning on just lining him up and running him up the middle every time, like you would with Carlos Hyde, I think we're going to be in trouble with him.
But I think if we're reading the tea leaves about what the Texans have done, if we're just trying to understand and not just absolutely trash, because it's easy to do that, and get stuck in the cycle of us just trashing O'Brien and try to understand what the Texans are doing and how this year possibly looks. Like, this has to be at least a somewhat of a boost for Will Fuller. Like, if the Texans believe that he could be their real number one wide receiver, if that is in the realm of possibilities, and this is a faith push for Fuller, that he could take that next step and be their one, if that's what O'Brien believes, I'm not saying that he can or he will. If that's what he believes, then he's going to get the target share that DeAndre Hopkins possibly got. Or if this is a committee, or if the fact of the Texans put this much and push the chips in saying we still believe, obviously they still believe that David Johnson still has juice. They're going to utilize him, and they're going to feed this dude volume. And if we try to understand, at least for a second, get inside the mindset of what the Texans are possibly going to look like and what these moves really say about how they view their offense going into the year, then some of these guys, depending on, because everybody wants to trash on it, like the Colts and stuff, these guys are going to be values in some spots if some of these things happen and they get volume, or if we're trying to understand what the team is thinking.
So,
100%.
I guess from each perspective, I think looking at the Houston side, I think Will Fuller's value is going to skyrocket much higher than what it would have been. Like, I think you could see him going in the third, fourth round type area, which I think he would have been like a 7.
Will he get that high as much as people hate on him and his injuries?
I think as we get, it's really going to ultimately.
I'm just throwing it out there because I put a tweet out there about talking about go to get him in Dynasty, and everybody trashed it. Like, a lot of people are like, he's hurt, and I'm like, okay,
really it's going to depend. It's really going to depend on what they do in the draft.
If they roll out with this roster, right now, like, people are going to be like, who's he throwing the ball to?
Right, because they signed Randall Cobb. Like how many slot wide receivers do you fucking need? Like, I don't know what they got going on there, but I mean, you have that. They still have Kenny Stills, but Kiki Kuti. But if they don't address, I'm sure that they looked at this and said, okay, we're going to move DeAndre Hopkins. You can say whatever it is, all the stuff that came out. And Michael Irvin said that if that stuff is true, fucking Bill O'Brien's a fucking even more of a douche. But I don't know. I'm not, I don't know if any of that's true. But regardless of that, like, if they I feel like they probably looked at this wide receiver class that's coming out. We've already talked about it a bunch with this wide receiver class. It's fucking loaded, and so they could, if that's what they do, and they go out and they address it and they add Jalen Reagor or something like that, whomever in this draft, because obviously I don't think they're going to be able to get anything. They're not getting CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy or anything like that. But if they add an alpha wide receiver, then that thing's changed. But if they don't, and they head into the season with this group, then I think Will Fuller is definitely going to rise and rise and rise because people are going to naturally give him the DeAndre Hopkins targets and say, well, now he's going to be a 150 target guy if he can stay healthy. And I think that's where his ceiling, he starts skyrocketing up for people, where people start to push him up. And on the other side, though, on the DeAndre Hopkins side, I think people should really probably think about pushing him down a little bit because I do think that this is this is going to hurt his fantasy value. He is not going to be. I'm not saying it's like a drastic, but I do think this
What
is
are
going
you
to hurt
talking
him.
about?
I'm with Kev on this one. He's not getting the target share. I don't think he's getting that 30% target share. I'm with Kev on this.
Because of
How are
Christian
you going to
Kirk?
drop him down?
Damn it, Ryan! You're gonna make me be with Kev on this. I'm with Kev
Because
on this.
I mean, no, but like, I mean, what
on the
are you
fence.
basing that off of? Because like the quarterback play is.
Do you think that he gets 150 targets straight up? Does he get that
No.
targets?
Well,
Okay,
they
well,
run enough plays.
I would take the under on 150, but I'd take the over on 125 on it.
with
And
Larry
like,
Fitz and Christian Kirk also there,
Well,
unless they're
Fitz.
running four
And,
wide.
Fitz ain't. I mean, come on now.
Andy is
Fitz
a
gonna
bone.
be.
It doesn't matter.
I know
He's
people
gonna
say,
get
well,
90
he's
targets.
gonna get targets,
He's
but
gonna
when they
get
get
targets.
down, but when
You
it
only have
comes
so many
down
targets
to
to go
it,
around. Like
no, but I'm saying you're still going to get somebody who's going to get 125 targets in a potent offense that now.
But the
that,
payoff on his
I think
cost
the
and
main
the
thing,
hype, he's going to have to get 12 touchdowns at least to pay off on his
and
cost.
he can.
Because he's
he
not
can
going to
definitely get
ball.
that.
DeAndre Hopkins is still going to be
Dude,
a
this-
top 5 wide receiver that's drafted. And
Dude,
if he
this
doesn't
dude,
hit that,
Kyler,
then you're drafting
listen.
him at his ceiling probably.
This dude
Just
Kyler at a
saying.
rookie. This dude Kyler at a rookie was making this offense light up as a rookie. Get down the field, stay in games, putting up points. So now you put a prolific wide receiver with him, with that boy Kirk. I think the real person that it affects from a fantasy standpoint is the Kenyon Drake, who was busting off these crazy 200-yard games and everything like that. When they get into the red zone, they're going to feed Hop. Hop is going to come in there. He's going to bring in a whole different change of culture for this team. Him and Larry being together, they are going to try and make this team playoff caliber. And this is a guy that you invested in heavily. You showed that you want him there. This dude's getting the ball. This dude is getting the damn ball from Cliff and Kyler, and it's going to be money for DeAndre. I mean, this dude has played with bums his whole career, bummy ass dudes until Deshaun Watson got there, was still putting up numbers. Now you're putting him with the young boy Kyler and in Arizona in that dome.
Yeah, but my thing with all of it, Ryan, is that I think you're drafting him at his ceiling. And that's my worry with it.
I'm not saying DeAndre Hopkins is now like wide receiver.
I think Ben. Hold on, I need to point down here. I think Ben has a
change?
question.
No,
he put his hand up. He was being polite.
No, this is who I'm just trying to wrap my head around it because I'm kind of in the middle. But like, no, I want to unwrap this because I don't know what I think. Like, I just looked. Larry Fitzgerald saw 102 targets last year. Christian Kirk saw 98. So I guess, are you guys coming from it from the standpoint that you just continue to see that be spread out somewhat evenly because they run enough plays. They run enough plays for the targets to be there. And as much as I love Christian Kirk, and I think that this is actually really helpful for him because I think having a guy like Hopkins on the outside that actually allows Kirk to basically be the type of receiver that I think his strengths are, which is, yes, he can be on the outside, but also kind of be the Chris Godwin type where he can win in the middle of the field and do it a little bit more as well. Yes, Fitzgerald is still there. That doesn't help him, but Fitzgerald is he's so old. He's going to continue to just be an ancillary piece and not be a primary piece. So Fitzgerald, I don't see as that much of a competition. And yes, I think it helps Kirk, but I think it helps Kirk because Hopkins is so good on the outside. Like, he's still the alpha. So I think just talking this out, like, the targets are still going to be there and Hopkins is still going to be very valuable. The question, and I guess this is where you guys are taking it, is a value at the top of the draft board. We can pull, split hairs all day, but I guess that's the importance of this right here is he wide receiver 4? Is he wide receiver 8? That's a big difference at the end of the day. I guess that's where you guys are coming from.
Yeah, I think you're drafting him probably at his ceiling. And if he doesn't pay off that, then it's for me.
Well, how is he not paying off that though? He was paying off on that with bum ass dudes at quarterback.
But he was the only target.
He was getting. But his target share
When
was
fo-
insane, Ryan. Like he's
That's
not
the
going to
point.
get that. He's
That's
going to
really
need
the
the
only point.
touchdowns,
Okay,
like
so-
you're talking
but I'm
about.
saying,
He's
you
going to
got-
have to hit 12 to 15 touchdowns.
You got Larry
to freaking
Fitzgerald
pay off
100
there.
targets last
Have
year.
to.
So that to me is
Yeah,
promising.
Fitz had 100 targets.
Larry Fitzgerald getting a hundo right there. That's promising because we know he's on the decline. Hop is on rise at the time. He's still in his prime.
He's going to
So
run
you
his corpse
go
out
give
there
him
and still
that.
not going to be good and get 100 targets. You can
He
only
ain't
throw
gonna
it
get
so
a
many
hundo,
damn
though.
times.
That's
though,
what
man.
I'm saying. These dudes like Andy Isabella, Farrell Cooper, Keyshawn Johnson,
Wait, hey,
Demir Bird.
Andy Isabella was a
Like,
second
them
round
dudes
pick last
gone
year.
now.
So like he has draft
But
capital.
I'm
Like
saying,
I think
but I'm
he's
saying
be
they're
more
going to get
involved.
to
And
those targets are going to go
and
somewhere.
the
They're
Cliff
going to go to
Kingsbury
Hop now.
offense, the Cliff Kingsbury offense, they love running four wide receiver sets. Like that number is going to go higher, much higher than it was last year when they were out there running out Tabari Bird and Trent Sherfield and all these dudes. Right? It's going to be Hop. It's going to be Kirk. It's going to be Larry Fitzgerald, and it's going to be Andy Isabella. Right?
Well, we don't know it's going to be Andy Isabella. He never played last year, so we don't know that.
He had some
Hakeem
opportunity.
Butler,
He
baby.
scored a long touchdown, but he didn't.
I
get a ton
want
of
it to be Andy
opportunity.
Isabella, but let's
But-
not sit here and say that confidently. We don't know that.
Well, all right. So let's unpack this a little bit. I love Ben's point, and I think Kev was already weighing in on this as well. I love the idea of getting Kirk and targeting Kirk for the fact that with this depth chart, if it's improved and they run four wide more often, then you're going to have double slots of Fitz and Kirk. And I don't think you're going to have. I think that's where I think if this improves this depth chart to where, like y'all are talking about, we see more base set four wide. That's where I think you give the push to Kirk. Because if he has the juice and he plays and he gets around the same amount of targets or if he commands more targets than Fitz, then I think he is going to be the best value out of all of these guys.
So Hopkins in the second, Kirk in the seventh. You'll take Kirk in the seventh.
Yes.
Because let's be real, Kirk is going to be this offseason.
Because
Chris Godwin,
here's the
right?
thing.
He's got to be. Right?
If Hopkins gets 120 targets, can we not say like what can Christian Kirk get 100? And
Of
that
course.
and that not be that far of a split outside of touchdown variance?
No, I'm with you. I think first
Like-
glance, I would rather have Christian Kirk too. I love him as a player. I think the value will be somewhat nice, although I think he's going to skyrocket up boards. He's going to be this year's Godwin. But 120, Larry Fitzgerald just had 100 targets. Larry Fitzgerald's great. He's old as hell. You mean to tell me that Hopkins isn't coming in here and at least getting 135? At least 135. Come on, Derek. At least.
No, and that's a
what is he
possibility,
doing with
man.
those 135s too?
A lot.
Because they're like you said, it is going to be muddled. But when
This
they get into
offense
the red
is
zone, I think
rocket
you
ships
can
this year.
rely.
It depends on
I
how they
feel
use them.
confident
You need
enough.
the touchdowns, man. You need the touchdowns because we
Sure,
saw
and
last year Hopkins didn't have those massive ceiling games last year. He had good games. We did not see DeAndre Hopkins like smash and grab and just totally win you weeks last year. That didn't happen.
I don't think we know really where he's at. I mean, because a lot of the season last year, we kept wondering why are they not pushing the ball down the field to DeAndre Hopkins.
He was
Why are
used
they
in a
not
different
pushing-
manner too. He wasn't used
He
deep
was
down the
using
field.
as a short intermediate target,
Yes,
like
as a
he was
possession
not
guy.
being. They were not pushing him down the
So
field.
can he not be used better?
can't.
In
I-
Arizona?
He
I
can.
think, I think he can,
Totally different.
sure. But
He
the
can.
point is, it's not going to take much for him to go from where he's going to be drafted as probably the okay. Are you drafting?
gonna be a top
are you
five.
are you taking
He's gonna
Michael
be
Thomas
drafted
on?
top
over
Michael
him?
Thomas.
Okay.
I-
Are you taking
don't be dumb.
DeAndre or Devonta Adams over him?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll
Are
take
you
Devontae.
taking Tyreek Hill over him?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yes,
Without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't know.
Yes,
That's questionable.
I'll take Tyreek over him. I will.
Like,
Yeah.
where do you
I'll
get
slightly
in the
side
order
Tyreek, sure,
of
okay.
wide receivers of where then you take DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, he's like
He's
He's
a wide
a top
receiver.
five.
See, and that's where I'm
To me-
at
I mean,
on
to
him.
me,
I don't
he
think
is.
he's top
Because
five.
He has a proven track record of doing it with offenses that aren't designed to accommodate him. Like already, before we saw Bob be there, like he was doing this stuff before we saw what he could do with a Deshaun type quarterback. Okay, so now you take a Kyler who in his rookie season is passing 542 times, right? And in an offense that is lighting up now that they found lightning in a bottle with Kenyon Drake mid-season, mind you, this offense is going to be moving. They're going to have more possessions on the field. And when you're looking at guys like Larry Fitzgerald, and they're going to be running 4 wide receiver sets, sure, but like he's going to learn that he can just throw this thing up to DeAndre, and DeAndre's going to come down with it. Like I think that as Kyler starts to, grab this rapport with DeAndre, I think that could definitely help. And I'm going to take a risk on gambling that DeAndre's in this new system that is an offensive, fast-paced system and can do more than what you're saying his ceiling is, Derek, because I think that we really don't even know what his ceiling could be because we haven't seen him in this type of offense like this.
Ryan,
and Larry Fitzgerald is going to start coming. I mean, it's just he's still a wide receiver 1. I think he's top 5 to me. I would take him. I would be happy with him being my number 1 wide receiver, and I think that you might even be able to get him in the second round turn, which I think would be fantastic.
He's not leaving the first round, man. He's not going to leave it.
Well, no, because
Hopkins isn't leaving the first round.
Because running backs are going to be a key as they always are. So
I think the hype is going to be deafening, dude. I mean, look, this has only happened in we've had 1-2 days to kind of diagnose this. I think as we go through the off season, we've already seen Kyler is getting all kinds of love and deservedly so. I think this is more of a push and it helps Kyler than it helps DeAndre Hopkins.
For sure, 100%. Yeah.
I just I love DeAndre, but my whole point is that I think the hype is going to make DeAndre Hopkins. People are going to draft this dude top 3. That's where I'm at, and at that price, I mean, I'm not, man. I love DeAndre, and I think he's going to be a wide receiver. He's going to be a top 12. He will be a top 12. But if people draft him as a top 3, I'm out.
And that's it. My official stance, I side with Ryan. I absolutely think you can still argue him as the wide receiver 3. I'm not saying he's that guy. I think you can argue it. So there's the splitting hairs. There's the difference.
But if I'm drafting a guy in the top, so here's my whole thing. If I'm drafting a guy as a top 3 wide receiver, I want him to have no. I want him to have the ability to hit a ceiling to be the number 1. To be last year's Michael Thomas.
I agree with that.
That's what I want. If I'm drafting that guy there, I want the ceiling of him being the unquestioned number 1 wide receiver in all of fantasy, and I don't see the ceiling right there for DeAndre. That's my whole thing.
I want the consistency, and I want the chance to also have what you just said. Why can't DeAndre Hopkins have both of those? Anyways, I
don't think he gets enough targets to be number 1. I don't think he gets enough targets to be number 1. And we can take this around the room. Does anybody think that he has the true ceiling to be the number 1 wide receiver in all of fantasy football in 2020? I don't.
Yeah, I do.
Do I think there's a path? Sure. I mean, anything could happen, right? Like they could have some injuries and things could happen. It's possible, but I think I don't think it's as high, and I wouldn't put because if you're going to lower his targets, and I think you should. I don't think you can expect a 30% target share for him in this offense. I think it's much more. I think 25% is probably a better area probably to expect for him. And if you're going to take that away, then you need to ask for him to be efficient. Somebody like a Tyreek Hill is right. Like Tyreek Hill doesn't need volume. Tyreek Hill does not need 150 targets to be the number 1 wide receiver. He doesn't need that. And DeAndre Hopkins doesn't have that. So if you're taking some targets away from him, you should naturally knock him down a little bit. Again, I'm not saying I hate DeAndre Hopkins. I think DeAndre Hopkins, nobody should draft him because I'm just saying I think he is going to be overdrafted versus what his value is. Because I don't think, realistically, I don't think more often than not that he's going to be able to outproduce or hit that ceiling. So that is my problem with him.
Cody and Nate, what do you guys think?
I mean, for him to hit wide receiver 1, there is a path, like Kev said, but that's going to have to come on absurd efficiency and a lot of touchdowns. Kev, you mentioned the 25% target share for Hop dropping down. Just to give you an idea, that was the area of Julio, Keenan Allen, Julian Edelman, Cortland Sutton, and Odell all hit 25% of their team's target share last year. But yeah, Buy Christian Kirk in dynasty leagues. That is, I still think D Hop is he's still an elite wide receiver asset in redraft and dynasty. But for me, I'm going to be going out and targeting Christian Kirk heavily in dynasty leagues because I think this is going to depress his price a little bit.
Love it.
Yep. Agreed.
Nate, what say you?
I like it. I still like him a lot. Kyler Murray was 9th in the league in passing attempts last year. I think that only goes up this year. Remember, everybody was saying that the Arizona Cardinals are going to have this super high speed. They're going to run 90 plays a game. They didn't quite reach it because they weren't very good. But I think that in year 2 in the Kingsbury offense and having more talent on the field, they might get closer to that play volume, which is going to – I'll take 25% of an 80-plus play, 80, 90-plus play team any day of the week. So, I of course, it depends on cost, Derek. You're absolutely right. But I think that this is a great move for both Hop and for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals in general.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen Cliff's offense fully implemented yet, and I think that'll be interesting to see if we get that this year.
No, I think he figured out really quickly that he didn't have the personnel to do that, and he changed it very, very quickly. Right. But I think if you do buy into it, you have to believe that and I'll give the other side of the narrative. If you buy into it, you have to believe that the Cardinals run more plays. You have to believe that they run faster because to me, that's the only way that DeAndre Hopkins pays off that outside of just massive touchdowns.
Well, where were they in pace last year?
I'd have to go back and look at it, Ben. I know they dropped off as the year went on. After they went out of like 4 into 3 wide more, they were more middle of the pack. I know they were leading it in terms of pace over the first few weeks, and then Cliff realized, we don't have the guy. We ain't got the guys to do that, man. Bird is not going to work. So the other side of this, if that defense is any better this year, we could see that pace not play off as much as well because they ran the ball really, really well.
By the way, let's keep in mind that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be fighting with targets with Dan Arnold, so we have to keep that in mind.
Thanksgiving goat.
Any chance you can slip it in? Any chance you can slip it in? Right. No, I mean, yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see it play out. I will say though that they're probably playing for the number 2 because Michael Thomas got that shit on lock. Yeah, like Michael Thomas is number 1, and then after that, you're just looking for number 2 who can come close. So,
all right, we can stop the pod right here. Michael Thomas, love, we good, we out.
Let's run it back a third time. Michael Thomas season.
So yeah, while we're sticking on wide receivers, before we move on, though, was there any running? We kind of just segued into the hop and moved into wide receiver. Nothing else to talk about running backs?
Mel Gordon, you better sign quick, baby, because your landing spots are drying up, son.
Keep him off the Broncos. I'm good.
I don't want any exposure to him.
The Broncos are going to draft like AJ Dillon or something like that. That's what's going to end up happening.
Melvin.
Don't put that hate on that guy.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Kev, that's Melvin savage, dude.
Is that bad? Yeah. Melvin Gordon really fucked up. I'm sorry, Melvin.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jordan Howard is going to get drafted too high, right? Like it's going to happen. God, people are going to order like Jeremy Hill 2.0. Like,
I already had people up in my mentions about talking about how Jordan Howard is. Get out of here, man.
Stop.
I'm out.
Good. God.
Hey, Lamar Miller bounce back. Lamar Miller bounce back year. Are we curious to see where he's landing, or is it just?
I don't know if you ever even see him in the NFL again. Be honest.
Yep. The balloon's losing air.
Yep.
Damn. Everybody up on. All right. Let's keep it rolling with the interesting topics.
Like high five Stephon Diggs right now. He can almost give him a high five.
He's right up all up in his grill.
Well, we probably should talk about
his grill.
Not only are we blocking entirely my Twitter handle, guess I'm not getting any followers tonight.
Hey, listen.
First last name FF, baby.
Putting this up, none.
Well, we had the
first name, last name.
Can we move Diggs to cover Ben? Because my name ain't doing shit. So
yeah, right in the middle.
I'll just move on.
And listen, my Twitter account isn't providing any value either.
Y'all can put Steph Diggs right over my face. I'm fine with it. Anybody would look at me anyway.
So
Um,
the early thoughts though on the Steph Diggs thing is like everybody hates it. Everybody thinks it's a terrible move for him. Move him way down. Do
Well-
not have any love for him. Josh Allen is still the bum that
if he
everybody
wasn't
thinks that
happy
he
in
is.
Minnesota, I mean,
Jokes on
his
you.
situation
They
just
gotta-
got
they gotta throw
worse. So
But see the thing though with Stephon Diggs again is not a guy who necessarily lives off volume, right? Like he's much more has been an efficient wide receiver who has
Sure.
been able to take the ball deep. We already know that he's one of the best route runners in the league. So like I don't know if this really hurts him all that much. Like people are acting like that he's dead, drop him down.
I don't think he's dead, Kev.
So,
but
wait
I'm
a
gonna say my take is gonna be very succinct, and then I'm gonna hand it over to you there, Ben. I want Steph Diggs in best ball. Past that, I don't want any exposure. That's where I'm at.
Well, I just want to ask a question. So DeAndre Hopkins stock down because he's not going to get the volume, Kev. But Stephon Diggs, volume doesn't matter. He's going to be great with efficiency
because
Like,
he's been
pick
efficient. I
one.
mean,
Pick
again,
one.
my point is with him is that I don't think that he is somebody that I'm not like, and I'm not bumping him up either. Like I don't mean that. Like I don't think his value's rising now going to Buffalo. I think you could maybe make an argument because they don't have an Adam Thielen there. When Adam Thielen played, it obviously hurt him at times. And I mean, John Brown, I love John Brown, but John Brown's not going to really stop. If they invested all this, Buffalo gave up a haul to get Stephon Diggs. Like Stephon Diggs is going to be the number one in this offense.
It was stupid. It was stupid. You could have gone out there and just traded peanuts to get D-Hop.
I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
I never said
Trade
that
Frank Gore
the-
and
Okay.
what they
Biff.
gave up.
No,
I'm just saying
Kev,
he's certainly going to be the number one in this offense.
But
And
how low do you think he goes? Like with the hate,
think-
like how low do you think he
I
goes
think
with
he
the
could
hate?
end up going wide receiver 24, 25, 26 range, somewhere in there. Like I think he could end up being a wide receiver 3 versus being,
and still, I'll take him in best ball like Derek said. I mean, Kev, same question. So we're talking
Spike
about, Hopkins, he's coming in and, he's going to have to share the wealth. He's not the number one alpha, but we're going to sit here and act like Stephon Diggs is walking in the door and he's the number one alpha. And I'm not saying he's not, but it's like you're choosing your narrative. Obviously, Hopkins is walking in as the alpha. So if Diggs is, Hopkins is. I love Diggs, but let's not sit here and act like when John Brown's healthy, he's not a really good receiver either. So now Diggs has to battle for targets with John Brown on a team that doesn't throw the ball that much. And by the way, when Josh Allen throws, he's not accurate. Let's be honest and stop kidding ourselves. He's not a good quarterback. He's good for fantasy because he runs, and I like the way he plays. He's fun to watch. I'm not saying he's not, but he's not a good NFL quarterback. Let's not.
And that's what
Let's not
hurts
kid.
all of his pass catchers is because when they
My
get
point-
in close, he gets the touchdowns and it makes him great for fantasy.
Yeah.
And it hurts all
Right.
of his wide receivers because when they get in close, they don't throw.
100%.
Stephon
And even if they do
Diggs-
try to
Stephon
throw,
Diggs,
is
He's
he
their
gonna be
goal line
accurate?
back. He's their goal line back.
Stephon Diggs better be hoping up there drawing up some flea flicker plays that they did with John Brown in the playoffs, and that's how he's getting the ball. Because John Brown's still going to go out there. He's going to get 4 in 80, 4 in 101 or whatever.
Yes,
I mean,
thank you.
just in
So-
balls out the gate and paying off of his value. Like Stephon Diggs is going to be so frustrated by week 4. I can't wait for the memes and the tantrums on the sideline.
Give me all of it in
Because
best ball.
if he's
though,
not
man.
happy with Kirk Cousins, how is he
No,
going to
that's
be
fine.
happy?
That's
His
fine.
situation just got worse.
He
I
is
hate-
gonna
no,
I hate
have-
the-
Best ball's
I hate
fine
the
because you are going to have those
Dude,
weeks for sure.
He's
but
gonna have some
you count on it
great weeks,
consistently?
like in DFS
Oh, yeah.
and in best
Yes.
ball. Oh
Yeah.
man, when
Yes,
that
but
matchup
he-
is right,
But
when
he
they
will be
play a
so
garbage
frustrating to
team,
own.
Stephon Diggs is gonna stack 3 tutties, baby,
It's
and we
because
all
Stephon
gonna
Diggs
be
is
like,
Yeah, 100%. He's incredible, but
Yeah.
he's going to be super frustrating to own. I will stand by that. And it's because of the situation.
He will be.
the
And
spike weeks.
he was
the
frustrating
spike
to own
weeks-
in Minnesota.
He
the
doesn't
spike
have a
weeks
good
are going
quarterback,
to
and he's
prop
on a
up
team
his
that.
whole season long numbers. The spike weeks will prop up his season long numbers.
How does this help for
Which is the
fantasy?
same thing
He
what happened to
doesn't
him
have a
last
good
year in
quarterback,
Minnesota,
and he's
right?
on a team that doesn't throw a
Fair.
lot and doesn't need to throw
Yeah.
a lot. That's not a recipe for success.
That's the same
Yeah,
thing what
yeah.
happened to him though in Minnesota, right? Because I mean, last year he first 3-4 weeks of the season, then he goes out and has a nuclear game, and that's pretty much been Stephon Diggs throughout his career. Very high, you have peaks and valleys with him through the entire time. My only point was not that I think that people should be running out and trying to buy him. It's just that I don't think that people are, as soon as it happened, they automatically have done exactly what you guys have done. And Josh Allen's an absolute bum. He's a scrub. they're not going to be able to get him the ball. He's going to throw a temper tantrum. He's going to be pissed the entire time, which is totally possible. But I'm just not in the same. I'm not in the same group that I think that all of a sudden now that he's going to be like a wide receiver 3, and that's where you should value him. Like, I still think he's fine as a mid-level wide receiver 2. I think in that 18 to 20 range, I think he's still fine there in that range because of everything else. That's where I'm at with it. I'm not saying that you should be boosting him up any, because I don't. I don't think this, but I also don't think this is such a terrible spot. Everybody acts like you go to Buffalo to die, and I think John Brown, we saw a little bit last year with him, they don't really have anybody else. They have him and Cole Beasley and Dawson Knox. And so you add another weapon there. Can Josh Allen take another step? We know that the AFC East is one of the worst divisions in all of football. I know they're trying to change that a little bit, but right now nothing looks worse. The Patriots arguably are going to be worse than what they were last year. So in this division, they should have an easier path to be able to do some of that. So again, that's just kind of my point, is that I just think that people are going too far with the Stephon Diggs hate. Not that I think that he should be valued higher, because I don't. If you want to knock him down a couple spots, 2 or 3 spots, whatever, 4 spots, whatever, fine. But people are acting like this guy is dead to them because now he's went to Buffalo.
I like the player, and like Derek said, I mean, I don't play best ball as much as some of the rest of you guys, but in DFS, like, I'll definitely be targeting him because of the salary relief that I'm sure that you'll be able to get from him, especially later on in the year. But as far as my redraft team, I don't want somebody going out there in an offense that is run first of all, and has a good running back to do so, has a good quarterback to do so. And has another wide receiver who's going to pop off at any time in John Brown, to have Stephon Diggs. And he is going to go up, because we know how guys go into the draft in our home leagues, right? Like, they're going to have the depth chart and they're going to say, oh, Stephon Diggs is on the Bills now. Like, he's on this team. Like, his ADP is going to start to go up as we creep closer to when we're doing redrafts. So I don't want to take him in that range that you're talking about, Kevin, the 18-20. Like, I'd rather have a guy like Calvin Ridley on my team than a guy like Stephon Diggs from fantasy purposes. So
Ryan,
I know it, Derek.
Let's go. And Cole Beasley's still on the team, right?
Yeah.
Don't talk about Cole Beasley.
I mean, that dude's not going away. They have a role for
Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson or Stephon Diggs?
Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson for sure.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, because people play in all different types of fantasy leagues, myself included. Standard leagues. Okay, that's where you want to look at Bills receivers like that, because they can put up yards and they can score long touchdowns, which is great. But I think a lot of our points, it's also hit or miss on a week-to-week basis, which is why he'll be very frustrating.
He's going to be frustrating.
But standard leagues, that's a perfect fit for Josh Allen.
So I think there's a parallel, just to harken back here for a second, not to re-stir up the beehive. I think that there's a parallel between D-Hop and Diggs, that I think both of these moves are better for the quarterbacks and make me want to aggressively target these quarterbacks over touching the wide receivers.
That's a great point. Great point.
Real quick, my thing with Diggs is what is he known for? He's known. I
like the previous graphic, by the way, Kev. That was a good one.
I like how right now Robbie Anderson and Amari Cooper are just making like a little window.
Nate's cuddling. He's cuddling.
That's perfect.
Hey, go ahead. Hey, y'all
got
Cody.
He's not playing little
Cody.
spoon. He's playing middle
Cody.
spoon, baby.
No, it's all right. I don't really have anything to say. It's stupid anyway. It's dumb. I don't want to say it.
The type of player that Stephon Diggs is, I want to hear it.
Route running technician, right?
Yes.
Separation, getting open. So my thing with this, like Kevin was saying, I'm not knocking him down, 14 spots or anything like that. But last year, Kirk Cousins, 3rd overall according to PFF in adjusted completion percentage, out of 27 quarterbacks on this list here. Josh Allen was at 22nd out of 27. So that's my big thing, is just with Josh Allen, his accuracy issues. And even last year, I think it was among quarterbacks with 350 dropbacks. Josh Allen was 30th out of 30. And I mean, obviously this year he improved a little bit, but I just don't see him being a super accurate guy. And with Diggs and with his I don't know what that was, with his route running, that he needs an accurate quarterback. I think they would have been better off going and getting somebody like a T. Higgins who can jump 8 feet in the air to be able to catch some of those balls that Josh Allen is going to be air mailing.
Listen, I'll tell you somebody I'd rather have Adam Thielen. Skyrocket.
Damn, you beat me to it.
Adam Thielen,
I was going there.
What do you
Kenny
guys think they
Stills,
do in the
Will
draft,
Fuller.
though?
And
Are
Irv
they
Smith,
100% locked
I
in
like
taking
Irv
a wide
Smith.
receiver early? 100%, no doubt.
I mean, if they do, they're dumb because you just traded away Stephon Diggs, one of the best receivers. I mean,
well, but who? So that's just going to be Adam Thielen? I mean, they also added what's his name? The Johnson dude. I mean, that's pretty much all they have.
What all picks
yeah, they have nothing. They have nothing there. They have nothing there. They need
the
a
Vikings
receiver.
have. Like,
That's what I'm saying. They have no choice but to take a wide receiver early.
I don't.
They should play Irv Smith at receiver. That's how good
the depth of this class, though. I'd have to go back and look at what the picks the Vikings have, because if the trench players push wide receivers, I think wide receivers, there's a path to wide receivers getting pushed down in this class. I mean, in the draft,
So, people are saying like 7 wide receivers could go in the first round. Like,
yeah, come on. I don't think that happens. But
I mean, Denzel Mims in Minnesota, like that doesn't make.
That's my thing.
Like
Could
6 to
Denzel
midnight,
Mims
real
go
quick.
in the second round? Could they grab Denzel Mims, trade up, and get him in the second round? That I think can happen. I don't think that they probably.
I'm not saying. I wasn't asking. Are they going to take one in the first? I'm saying. Are they going to take one in the day 1, day 2?
Yeah. Now
yes,
that
I think
that
happens.
Yeah.
Yes,
they have to
that
take
happens.
somebody.
They have two.
I think they need to take a
now.
corner in the first round if a guy is there. That's what I think.
They have 2 first now, and they don't have any pick until the 3rd. They don't have a second round.
Okay, so they could either trade back to acquire more picks out of the first, and then
they should take Tyler Johnson.
Oh man. Okay. So I was gonna ask though. So
you just got him all sorts of worked up, man.
I was gonna ask Cody.
Listen, that's the highlight of my night. Highlight of my night.
He just stopped him and said, "It's like he was like, I mean, you just absolutely just shook that man."
I feel like that doesn't happen.
So I was gonna ask Cody, right? So,
oh damn,
he got shook. Ben shook him with a sentence. I mean, Ben literally said it, and Kev goes,
and I still don't know if he was thinking positively or negatively. I don't know.
I don't either. He can't stop. He can't even.
I think Tyler Johnson. I mean, let's be honest. Like Tyler Johnson is like what, a 5th, 6th round pick. May go undrafted at this point. As bad as things are trading for him. My question was going to be though, God damn it. If they take a wide receiver in the first round, where do you guys put him in terms of your rookie drafts? Where would you put that guy? So if Denzel Mims goes to the Vikings, knowing the fact that Adam Thielen is getting old. I mean, Adam Thielen's what, 31, 32?
30.
He's definitely past 30. I think he's either 31 or 32. So he's definitely getting older. So whomever they draft, as long as they don't make a Laquan Treadwell mistake again, where would you take him?
I think I just took him in an expert mock. I took him at the end of the first. I think he's going to fall at the end of the first. And at me, you're sitting there at 1, depending on what's gone ahead of you and how this NFL draft falls. If I'm sitting there anywhere between 110 to 112 in a dynasty draft, I'll take Mims. It's all good if he goes there.
Yeah, I think it's where he's going to go. Kind of regardless, unless he gets some kind of crazy draft stock that we're not really foreseeing.
If the running backs all get squashed and somehow they all end up at committees, or you know what I'm saying, if they don't all end up in pristine spots and that gets shaken up some, then I think maybe he gains a little more steam and he gets up into that 108 spot. But I don't see him
going too much higher than that.
Yeah,
I still think he's going to be in that 8 to 12 range. 8 being best case scenario.
And I think just in general, it's fun to look at, Kev, like you're doing, spots like this where obviously the wide receiver depth chart in Minnesota is trash. And Kirk Cousins, although he's, kind of boring, he's still.
Do not hate on Man Van. You are not going to do that here, Ben.
Listen,
not with me here.
Kirk Cousins has been my guy. I
love Kirk.
He can get the ball to the receivers. So, whoever and now hashtag analysis. So whoever goes there, as long as it's
you belong on ESPN, my friend.
I know, man.
I do. Give me a spot. Whoever goes there, as long as it's someone that's kind of legit, they should be in that back of the first, second conversation in rookie drafts. Absolutely, because there's playing time to be had. 100%. Irv Smith, though, love him.
Yo, as far as the rest of these wide receivers
no one
that are
knows.
out there, you're done.
I
Ben.
agree, Ben.
As far as all the rest of
there
these
really hasn't been. I
receivers,
mean, Amari Cooper returned to
Well-
Dallas, right? But we're still waiting on a lot of these other moves. The Randall Cobb move.
no, but I was
fucking
gonna
more-
say, like, where are we trying to see some of these guys land out? I mean,
I still want to see Robbie Anderson in Green Bay.
receivers.
I think Robbie Anderson in
Philly.
Green
Oh
Bay
my
would
God!
be elite.
Please, that would be
Philly.
incredible.
Yeah, that would be.
Let Alan Lazard live
Or
in Green
there's
Bay.
also I know Derek
put-
loves some Rashad Perriman. Son of a bitch.
Get it out.
Remix.
Get it out.
He's just Kev
He
just
just
took it to
fucking
a whole new
shook
level. He
someone.
just shook
So
himself.
Rashad Perriman, I want to see him in
Yeah.
some red gold with the arrowhead on the side of his helmet. That's why
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that because
Why
I think Perriman brings a different skill set. That's why I like him in Green Bay too, because I think he brings a speed element. I don't think he's going to command the amount of money that Robbie Anderson is going to command, because
For sure.
we've only seen Perriman do it in spurts, and everybody wants to write the guy off because, oh, he's a bust, he's a bum, he's Kevin White, blah blah blah.
Hairline
And
receding.
and I'm not gonna say that, but the guy, like, let's give the guy some credence to the fact that, like, in the Mike Evans role, the dude balled out. Like, he had, in a small sample, yes, he's only 26. He's the same age as Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson has off-field issues every single time that, like, when the NFL season stops, he has extra time. He goes out and does something absolutely just stupid. And I don't think that people are going, like, I've never really bought into all this Robbie Anderson love. Like, can the guy fly on the field? Sure. Is he a well-rounded wide receiver and he deserves whatever contract he's probably going to get? Hell no. I'm not about it, man. I
I'm with
don't,
Derek.
I
I'm
don't
with you.
see it.
Give me
And,
the value of Rashad Perriman over the contract that Robbie will get.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Mhm.
but the other part about all of this too is that even if we want to dice up too, wide receivers changing teams, how many of those guys hit? Like, as much as we want to, like, throw
Yeah.
throw love at these guys,
Right.
changing teams, new systems, new quarterbacks, new everything. How
Mhm.
many of these guys actually pan out in
Right.
that season where they sign somewhere different?
And on top
very-
of that,
Very few. Like, I really want to go back and do, like,
Only-
a 10-year study on this. Like,
yeah,
all
that'd be
these free
cool.
agent guys, and be
It's,
like,
it's only the.
did they
it's only the
actually
elite.
ever pay off? And what's
A-Rod,
the hit rate
baby.
on that?
It's-
Because
it's
I
only
think
the
there's
elite.
actually probably more signal to the fact of, if there's hype and a guy signs somewhere different, you avoid him.
I know. Look how much Sammy Watkins fucked the Chiefs. I mean, that dude is stealing money from the Chiefs at this point. I mean, so
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion Sammy Watkins.
He's
It is
the
Hey, put
DeAndre
some
Hopkins
respect on
will
his
be an
name,
interesting
Kev.
case study.
Yeah.
Hey,
Conference
you do not hate
championship.
on
Put some respect on his name.
do not hate on the Sam Bradford of wide receivers, okay? Just saying.
I will say though, he came up super
Nah,
clutch
Watkins
in the
still has
playoffs.
upside.
He came up
He
clutch in the
did.
playoffs.
Yeah.
So he showed
Sammy
up when it mattered.
Sammy Watkins
And-
destroys zone defenses. That's
And
what's
he
up.
was in the DFS lineups. I just didn't have the other
Playoff
eight.
Sammy is always what he is.
No, but so
Well.
if we're doing this, I can't leave this podcast without saying, yes, Emmanuel Sanders is old. However, I think that a contender should sign him. He's a
Yeah.
effing stud. And I do think there is some to look what happened at the end of the season, right? The 49ers literally never threw the ball. So, Emmanuel Sanders didn't do anything. He's old. He's boring. No, this dude still got it done last year, the year coming off torn ACL at that age when he was given opportunities. So I'm just saying, look, not a great fantasy asset,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just saying a contending team should sign. Listen, Minnesota should sign him to replace Diggs. There you go. Here's some stability at a wide receiver 2 spot. Bring in a rookie. Like a team like that should sign Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, I can see
love
Green Bay
that
going
take.
after him too.
Yes.
I can see Green Bay going after Emmanuel Sanders too.
Love that take.
I mean-
And you're going to get him at a pretty relatively cheap price. And this dude
2-year
is
deal.
a
Max.
leader.
Max?
He brings the
Yeah.
energy. I mean, he's great.
Well,
Yeah.
if you look at all of his coverage metrics too, because I actually pulled this up this morning and I was very surprised. If you look at how he performed versus zone, man, press, the guy was actually more productive versus man and press than he was versus zone. And to me, that's telling. That tells me dude's got juice. He can get off the line. He still can play. And if you can play, you can get open versus zone. All that is quarterback play. So give me the guy that can still get off the line, beat man, beat press, And yeah, I'll take that value all day. So if he signs with a contender, if he signs with Green Bay and they throw the ball because they actually have somebody to throw the ball to outside of Devontae Adams, sure.
Right.
Sign me up, baby. I'll take that Best Ball flyer.
Let's
go.
go, Derek. I knew I fucking loved you, man.
Yes, I'm down with it, dude. Manny Sanders still has juice, man. That dude has defied all kinds of stuff.
The glass is empty.
Gosh darn it,
Achilles,
Emmanuel
right?
Sanders
Injury.
to Green Bay. Let's get it.
Yes.
It has to happen.
The only team that I've seen when I was reading through some stuff leading up to the pod that was mutual interest was Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
With Emmanuel Sanders?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
that'd be
that
good
too.
too. That'd be great.
Let
Number
Michael
one
Gallup
offense-
live.
Number one offense in football last year.
I'm
Dallas.
okay with it. I think he'll have his weeks. Like, I'll play him in DFS. I won't target him anywhere else, probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
If he
would
ends up
be,
in
he would
Dallas.
be a fun tournament play then, and just like Randall Cobb
But,
was.
you know,
He'd just be
going
out.
on to a contender, helping out Dak, franchise year for Dak,
Wow.
that could be.
Dallas and contender. I don't know about that. They're losing a lot of guys, but I'm just going to throw some shade here.
Hey, NFC is going to be fun, man. NFC's the, AFC's got Mahomes and the Chiefs boys, but
That's
the
it.
NFC's open.
Yeah,
I mean, you just
AFC's
slam as
locked
much
up.
money as you have down right now on the Chiefs to go back to the Super Bowl because the
Yep.
AFC is a joke right now. It's just a
Yeah.
joke.
It's
Hey.
KC and Baltimore, and that's basically all you're running through. You got to
It's-
run through
it's
those two
KC
teams.
here, and then Baltimore is a little bit
Mahomes,
down here.
Mahomes
They're
and
not-
KC, Mahomes and KC had to knock on the door before they kicked it down. Lamar and Baltimore just knocked on the door. Will they kick it down? I don't know.
Dude, Baltimore's making all kinds of good money moves.
Yeah, they are.
They are going to be a very good team if
Yes, they are.
they continue. If Lamar Jackson continues to grow as a
Oh,
passer,
they should sign
that-
Emmanuel Sanders.
they- yeah, that I'm all about some Miles Boykin. I will be smashing that in all of my best balls because
I like
if they
that.
feed that dude some targets.
I like that.
We saw he's the post hype guy. Give me all Miles Boykin. I'm all about that life. I think that he has
Late
a Kenny
round
Galladay
flyer?
kind of. I think he could be Kenny Galladay 2.0.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you.
I'm now balling.
He played well when he got targets last year. All he needs is volume. The dude has. If you go look at his profile and like his athleticism, it's all top end stuff. He needs
Who-
volume.
Who would you rather have, Miles Boykin or Byron Pringle?
Boykin easy. That's what because I don't think I don't think Pringle gets.
Why was that
target-
question just asked?
Because as of right
Once you
now,
pop-
Because we're in KC, baby.
No,
we're in
no.
the KC
Once you
pod.
pop, the fun don't stop.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You gotta get in a fair quotient. But right now, he's likely going to be the number 3 wide receiver. I mean, yes, they draft somebody, but I'm talking about as of right now, what we know. Sammy Watkins is definitely getting cut. They need the money. So right now, Byron Pringle is the number 3 wide receiver in Kansas City.
Because I think Boykin has a ceiling. I think Boykin has a ceiling to be the
That's
one
all else
there.
there is, Ben.
There's no
It's-
DeMarcus either.
It's Tyreek.
Ben.
DeMarcus
Robinson's
Robinson gone?
a free agent. Yeah.
Okay.
But he's
But
still
we're talking
never.
about obscure wide receivers. I just thought I'd ask.
But because
Oh,
here's
that's
the thing.
all right. That's a good
Pringle
question.
will never vault above Tyreek and Kelsey. Can Boykin vault above Hollywood?
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter because the quarterbacks are in different stratospheres in terms of how they distribute the ball. Like Mahomes is okay. Lamar threw a lot of touchdowns last year. Regression's going to hit hard. I'm sorry.
True.
He's a great quarterback, but for fantasy purposes,
Yeah, but
do
he's
you
not
want
going to hit
Lamar
9%.
But do you want Lamar throwing to your receivers for fantasy purposes? I'm good. I'm straight.
But am I going to take the first, maybe a first 1A, 1B option for Lamar versus a third option for Mahomes? That's really what you're
The
down
third
to.
option.
Honestly, I'll still take the third option. I'm not going to lie.
That's fair. And
I'll
that's
be honest.
fair. That's fair. But I think there's a conversation to be had there too
No,
with
that's
talent,
true.
though.
That's true.
With talent.
Listen,
I
what
think
you just
I-
said
I-
about Boykin is the number one thing I'm taking away from this podcast. I'm being dead serious.
Why are you knocking my boy Byron Pringle? And I like Miles Boykin. I really do. I think that he could be sort of that diamond in the rough. But why are you knocking about? We saw Pringle cut.
I'm not
Who's
knocking him, man.
knocking him?
It's
Nobody's knocking him.
showdown money. Like But we're talking about Boykin versus Pringle. I'm gonna go Boykin.
Hey,
Unbelievable,
I
man.
get a little, I get a little defensive.
Kev
the
is,
boys.
Kev is unbelievable. Going to defense for Byron Pringle. I can't with this guy.
That's the only way this gets
Hey.
brought up.
Hey, Brian Pringle,
All right,
shout out.
all right. I think we're losing it.
Hey,
boys.
let's
I
move
think
on to
we're
tight
losing
ends.
it.
How about that? You know,
Yeah.
the best of the best.
Let's stick with Baltimore because Baltimore made a move. They send Hayden Hurst to Atlanta.
Is Hayden Hurst a top 10 tight end?
Go
Can somebody give me a list? Because he probably is.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
He
So-
might be. He might be.
So right
ahead.
now being drafted,
Oh,
Kittle,
thank you, Cody.
Kelsey, Ingram, Andrews, Ertz, Hooper, Henry, Waller, Hawkinson, and Noah Fant is at the 10th spot.
I think Hurst is the top 10 based off that list because I think there's guys in that list that easily drop out. I think Waller's going to drop big.
Because of Jason
What,
Witten.
Witten?
Nope, because I think Hunter
of Mariota?
Renfro is going to cannibalize him in the short area targets. We saw it last year. He just wasn't healthy all year.
Okay, yeah.
I'd rather have Waller than Hurst, but I'd rather have Hurst than Hawkinson.
At their ADPs, Hurst is going to smash that value.
Well,
he's
yeah,
gonna
right.
he's gonna double the ADP of whatever Waller hits.
He'll be a good late round target.
I was thinking of who finished higher. If who finished higher in points, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, but do you think Waller rebound? Like, is Waller going to get 1K receiving yards if Renfro stays healthy and they add a wide receiver in the draft?
They're definitely adding a
that's-
receiver in the
Oh,
draft.
I mean,
That's not going to happen.
I mean, Waller's still got to be a top 5 tight end regardless. Has to
Waller
be.
is still
It doesn't take much.
he's gonna-
It doesn't take much to be a top 5 tight end. Let's be honest
Correct.
about that.
That's why I'm saying it.
Yes, but
Waller will be top 10, I think, for sure, of that list.
I mean, it's not a huge accomplishment to say you finished the top 10 tight end. To be honest with you,
I think
but
that
I still think Hayden Hurst. Now, again, another interesting thing that's going to happen with him is as the months go by and we continue to talk about this, is Hayden Hurst going to end up being overdrafted and to be a guy who goes as a top 5 tight end because
Well,
everybody's
depends.
hyping him. And
Darren
he's going to
Waller
step
never
in,
became that.
so.
He could. He could definitely. I mean, he's the fact that there's no Hooper and people like to just say, okay, you replace this guy with this guy. Now this guy's going to pop. So Hooper's
That
not
doesn't mean
there.
that.
I know it doesn't, but that's how people equate it. Is
Right,
Hooper's
right.
not there. Oh, they brought this guy Hayden Hurst in here for equity, draft equity. I want to get this guy. And so we could see his ADP definitely boost. Tight end's just a crapshoot. Just whoever you got at the end, I think you're doing fine. I mean, Waller was going not even on the radar there for tight ends, and you found a situation. So find situations that you like.
I think this year,
Don't take guys like Jimmy Graham. Don't
Oh,
take
God.
guys like Jimmy Graham.
the Bears with their 37 tight ends that they got over there. I mean, they're just a crewing
And all of them
tight
are
ends.
washed or suck.
It's not great. It's not great.
WYD Chicago. Come on.
Like,
It's not great.
seriously.
But this year, I think this. I mean, I don't know, but it feels like there's so many like sleeper type tight ends, right? You have like Jarwin. I think
Like
there's some
Jarwin,
hype
let's
around.
go.
right.
Jonnu Smith.
Let's go back
Ian
to
Thomas.
the Coltswell, baby. Jack Doyle, nobody's talking about.
Let's
Jack
go.
Give me
Let's
that.
go, Derek.
Give me all the Jack Doyle because
he's right, yeah.
nobody's talking about him
Oh,
at all.
Let's go.
Nobody is.
let's go. Yeah, Doyle. Oh, I already forgot who else we were talking about. But yeah,
Well, I mean,
I like all those guys.
Cody rattled them off. I mean, after the top 2, I mean, Mark Andrews is still going to be around there making some noise. Who else did you name? I mean, you got Kittle, you got Kelsey, you got Andrews, you got
Hooper, Henry,
Hurst.
Waller, Hawkinson,
Hunter Henry.
Fant.
I will
No,
not-
I know
Hawkinson-
Fant's
Henry.
not necessily a sleeper, but Fant is probably
But
going
do
to
you
be
think?
the guy
Do you
that
think that's
right,
surprising that
Fant.
Hawkinson's going that high?
What'd you say, Derek?
I said I love Fant.
Let's go.
love-
Let's go. I was
love
ready to
Fant.
fight. I was ready
There
to
we-
fight.
Oh
Love
yeah.
I thought I heard him say he didn't like him either.
Oh hell no! I love Fant. I love Fant.
I'll
He's
take
going to be
all,
my target.
I will take all 10 of those guys over what's his face?
Even Hawkinson.
Hurst.
Yeah, I'll take all
Over
10 over the
Hurst?
guy that just went to Atlanta.
Yeah, over Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
I mean, Hawkinson is still. There's a lot.
I like
to be
Hawkinson.
proven with Hawk for sure.
I
He came
love
in-
Hawkinson's
And I love Matt Stafford.
long-term outlook, but I'm saying this
Sure.
season, right now, with him. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they still have
I
Marvin
would-
Jones,
I don't
Kenny,
know.
Kenny Galladay. They re-signed Danny Amendola there.
I think Hawkinson versus Hurst is a very,
Yeah,
very
that's a tough one.
interesting conversation. I think those guys, it's going to come down to ADP.
That's
But
a
I
tough
think
one.
I think they could end up. There are a lot of scenarios where I think they're going to end up as like bing bing, like right there in the rankings. I think that's a
So-
very interesting conversation.
I have a question: Austin Hooper or David Njoku?
Oh, David Njoku. I want him to go to
agree.
Jacksonville. I'm willing this. I'm willing this. Give me David
Oh.
Njoku to go to Jacksonville. I want this to happen
Okay.
so bad, like with every fiber of my being, and it probably does not happen because they want the depth. But I want it so bad,
From a
man.
real life standpoint, though, if they really do run out those 2 tight ends, I love 2 tight end sets, man. I'm a sucker for 2 tight end sets.
I do. And now I will say this. I dug in because I know where you're going with this, Ben. I dug into Baker this offseason. I do believe he bounces back, but I have more questions and concerns than I have answers. I will say that because I kind of know where you're going with that with the 12 and Stefanski and this offense bouncing back. There were a lot of concerns that I had about Baker whenever I dug into the numbers because everybody wants to talk about play action and stuff like that. Dude, like Cleveland was not that far behind Minnesota. They were 8th and 12th in terms of how much they ran play action. So the bump of play action, that narrative is actually false. That bump is not that big as much as it's getting pushed out there that's going to happen. But Baker and play action, that offense was top 10. Baker non-play action last year, that offense was terrible. All of his metrics were horrible in non-play action plays. So if we believe in a Baker bounce back, then it right now it has to go off of some faith for me. I believe in Baker. I love Baker so much. I really can't say anything bad about him. But from a numbers perspective, it's more of a leap of faith that they can bounce back and he can play better than it is me being able to actually craft a narrative of that. Sorry I sidetracked this, but
and
I feel
regardless
like we had to go into that.
And regardless of the truth of where Baker's actual NFL talent lands, you have the running game and a better offensive line now to, execute the 2 tight end sets, the play action. They just traded for the Broncos fullback Andy Janovich. We know what they want to do. And that excites me because I think that can help Baker regardless of if he's good or not.
Can we just go ahead and say Nick Chubb is going to be a top 5 running back?
Yeah,
I'll
lock it
say
in.
that. Like, can I just get all the Nick Chubb? Can I just do?
lock it
Can
in.
Nick Chubb be my Dalvin Cook this year? Like, can I just like take him like within the top 5 picks, and everybody's going to slam me for it because they're going to talk about Kareem Hunt, and I don't give 2 cares about it at all. Like, I don't care at all.
I don't hate it at all. I don't hate it at all.
I'm just going to do that. I'm going to press that button every single time. When you get outside of those, like the Christian McCaffrey territory, or like I will take Nick Chubb, and I'm fine with it.
Regardless of Kareem Hunt's going to have a role, but you're not. Yeah, I'm fine with it. You're not taking away Nick Chubb's role.
And
either.
Madison had a huge role. We saw this play out last year.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be a number 2, and Hunt ran more pass routes, which is valuable for sure. But we know what Nick Chubb.
But everybody's going to talk about that too. But this is a totally different system. Like, I mean, I think there's more parallels to be drawn about how Stefanski used Dalvin Cook as opposed to like how he wants to use Nick Chubb, than there is parallels to be drawn of how Kareem Hunt's usage goes.
Right.
But I think the narrative is going to go to the other side, and they're going to say, "But Hunt did this last year," and I'm saying like. But that doesn't mean that it's repeatable this year, whereas we saw what they did with Dalvin Cook last year, and that's repeatable for Nick Chubb, I think.
I mean, with Cleveland, though, what does everybody think about OBJ? Like, he seems to be left for dead. Like, people are just done with him and think that he's always a bum. Do you think, like, I think he could end up being an incredible value.
Cody, can you give us ADP right now?
Depends on what his ADP is, Kev. If he is going, people are going to fade him. I'll be buying all of it.
He feels like
I want the juice man. Give me
Jarvis. Nobody gives Jarvis any love.
Nobody does.
Nobody gives him any love.
And everybody's like, well, but let's throw this out since we're on tight ends and stuff like that. can we all say that, like, is anybody going to have any exposure to Austin Hooper? I mean,
well, that's why I asked the question of Hooper versus David Njoku, because like I hate the fit. I hate where Hooper went.
I don't, and everybody like I've been on pods in like the last few weeks, and people are talking about Austin Hooper as an inline, and he's this inline tight end, and I'm like, dude, have y'all looked at his numbers? Like this guy, he's a slot wide receiver. Like Cleveland signed him as a slot wide receiver. Like the guy plays in the slot 60% of the time. He plays in the slot just as much as, I mean, we're talking about before about the guys. Hooper is playing in the slot just as much as Julian Edelman and Chris Godwin, as far as from a snap perspective.
Wow.
That is how much he's playing in the slot versus inline. So can he play inline more? Sure. Does that help his fantasy value? No.
No, his fantasy value takes a huge hit, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think that this
does it though? Like, does it? Like, I don't think that it does. Like, I don't think
you don't think Hooper's fantasy value?
It depends on where he ends up going. I guess I should say that. Like, I still think that, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, leaving Atlanta is going to be a huge blow. Like he's still going to be probably.
I think there's more love than you're giving press for, Kev. I think people love Hooper more than that, but that's just me. Maybe I think the contract value and the love for what he did last year is going to be a little bit strong. I mean, I could be reading the room and reading it wrong, but I'm curious what everybody else thinks.
I won't have him. I won't have him.
I don't ever take a tight end early. So if he ends up being somebody who's like the fourth, fifth tight end, like no, I won't. I'm much more. I'd rather wait and take a tight end late. I'll never take a tight end early. So it really depends on where he comes and where he falls in. But I don't think he's going to be as dominant as he was last year, because he was arguably the best fantasy tight end last year while he was healthy. I mean, week in and week out, he crushed, and until he got hurt, and it was sad once he left, because he was a guy last year that like I was all over and had him everywhere, because like he was like what, a 10th, 11th round pick, something like that last year. Mm-hmm. Incredible value. I think now he probably goes in the 3rd or 4th round. If that's way too high, but I don't think landing spot alone, I don't think it's a terrible spot for him.
I think it's better NFL than it is fantasy wise for him. That's just me.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because again, I mean, they don't have a ton. I mean, so I know they have still have Njoku there. I would not be surprised if they end up trading him.
Please trade Njoku. Free that man.
Yeah. I wish you would have went somewhere else. Because at this point, like as things stand right now, like that's the only thing we can do. And if Njoku's still there, then I think it could be that I would probably feel less inclined to be as excited about him. But we did see in Minnesota, and that's my kind of thing. Like I went back, like you look at Kyle Rudolph. Like Kyle Rudolph didn't really take off last year, start like really producing until Adam Thielen went down, and then all of a sudden Kyle Rudolph's numbers started going up. We started seeing him on the rise. Before that, when they were healthy, like Kyle Rudolph was kind of dead.
Yep.
Because they weren't really utilizing the tight end as much. So that is one concern with Austin Hooper in terms of just Stefanski and everything else.
So just to jump back to it real quick, Odell Beckham, wide receiver 7 with an ADP of 112.
Wow,
and,
that surprises me.
Right now?
Yeah.
Wow,
today.
That surprises me. That makes me sad, because that means I'll have probably.
I did not
OBJ.
see that. I thought he would have been wide receiver
that
20,
makes me.
so wide receiver 18.
I
don't know how
wide,
I'm looking at it too. I don't know how valuable this data is though, because they have Ezekiel Elliott at 2.06. I don't know how that makes any sense. But that's what it's saying. And if that's the case, I think I'm out, because I agree with you guys. I thought if I can get Odell in the 3rd round, I'm dancing, but I'm scared to take him in the 2nd.
I thought he'd be wide receiver 15.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I
Does
draft
Fantasy
him.
Pros have any ADP yet?
I'm just pulling that up right now.
Literally nothing that we saw from the Browns last year can give you any confidence. And
I mean, but then you have to draw parallels. For me, you have to draw parallels in scheme. And what does Stefanski do? And I think that they're going to run the ball. We know that.
Right.
The question is, do they pass the ball more than what we're thinking? And the only reason, just trying to read the tea leaves, why do you invest that much money in freaking Austin Hooper if you're not going to throw the ball, if you're just going to run the damn ball as much as they did in Minnesota? Why invest that much money when you already have a move tight end? Because people talk about 12 personnel and 2 tight ends, that one of those dudes has to play in line. Who's it going to be? Hooper's not that dude. Njoku is not that dude. Who's going to be the guy that rolls in line when they roll 12? If we're talking about 12 is so big and it's so like that's what's like going to push this. Who's going to be the inline guy? Because that's the guy that's going to take the hit, and neither one of those guys fit that profile. That's one of the reasons why I think Njoku is gone.
They still got Gary Barnidge. They still got him.
Wait,
I think they still have Ricky Seals-Jones, right?
Actually, no.
that's
He's a
fair.
free agent.
But how much of that, like with Stefanski, though, I guess you'd have to add, like, was the head coach driving something? Because we know how much he loves to fucking run the football.
And that's
a
fair.
hard on. Mike Zimmer loves to run the ball. This, like, he
That's
hates
fair
the-
because
he hates the passing game.
we saw whenever the wide receivers barked, they passed more. Whenever the wide receivers were like, Thielen was like, give me the damn ball, they gave him the ball. Whenever Diggs was like, give me the damn ball, they threw the ball. And when they threw the ball, they had great success doing it. So does Stefanski, are we underselling the fact that they could pass more than what we're giving them credit for? I mean, I'll still be buying in Nick Chubb regardless because they're going to run it and the touchdown equity of the offense is better. But my point is that, like, I'm trying to understand, why do you spend that much on a move tight end if you're going to sit here and run the ball that damn much? And I can't. That's the only reason why I lean to the other side of this a little bit.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that Austin Hooper would land in Chicago, even though just keep stopping.
I was
ends.
hoping for some garbage place. I was hoping for somewhere like Washington or somewhere where you could get like 130 freaking targets or something.
Yeah,
That's where I was hoping.
I thought Green Bay would have been interesting.
Dwayne boy.
Oh, so you don't say that because then you automatically illuminate the Aaron Rodgers cannot
Hates
cannot
tight
support
ends.
tight ends.
Yeah, he hates tight ends.
Actually, I'd rather have it just Devontae Adams continue to be able to just gobble all the targets, to be honest.
Oh, yes.
Alan
Devontae.
Lazard's still there,
Yes, he is.
I like Lazard. I wish he would have liked my fantasy lineups in the playoffs. But
All I
you know
know
what?
is that Matthew
Hey,
Berry
please.
put out the combine article, and everyone in Green Bay loves Alan Lazard, so I'm going to be
I saw
taking
it.
him.
Well,
yes.
I'll throw it out there. I wasn't able to read that. I'm blocked by Barry, so I wouldn't know.
You're not
How
blocked
did
by
you get blocked by
ESPN.com,
Matthew
though,
Berry?
right?
how are you blocking?
Bruh,
Matthew
I don't-
Berry?
I don't
Derek, you're the
know.
nicest guy in the
I
industry.
don't honestly know, but every time he gets brought up on a pod or he gets brought up and they're like, but Matthew Berry said this, and I'm like, I don't know.
Scott
blind.
Fish isn't even as nice as you, Derek.
Wow, that's high praise, Ben. I love you, but that's high praise. Wow.
I'm
And
just
probably not deserved.
I was just about to say. I
mean-
honestly think I'm not that nice of a person.
I mean,
Like-
it's definitely not deserved.
Now, I will throw out to Ben's point. I have been confused because of the bald head for Scott Fish. I got pulled aside by Ross Tucker last year. He was like, "Hey, Scott," and I was like, "Sorry, I'm not that guy." He's like, "Ooh," and we had an awkward moment. But anyway, I digress.
That's incredible. Listen,
Well,
guys,
right.
Fun,
He's-
fun
he's
times, dude.
I think I'm podcasted out, boys.
Well, let's get in some last words here with
Well,
Where-
fuck all of us,
Oh,
right?
no.
I'm sorry.
I'm out.
Well, no, I wanted to say I still want to know like where people. I mean, we have so many situations that just aren't fulfilled. I wanted to know like where people think where people are landing spots going. Like, where's the state of the NFL? Like, what's going on with the draft? Like, what we need to end on something. We can't just end it, Ben.
I mean, with everything you just listed that you wanted to know, we could make this another 4 or 5 hour podcast with everything. It's like,
And we will, and that's why we have
Hey.
to end it at some point.
I mean, I'm ready. Let's go.
Ben's just saying this because he knows it's going to go another hour and a half.
I don't
is-
know.
that is
I don't
true.
know. I'd like to see Green Bay get some type of pass catcher.
Yep.
Emmanuel Sanders go somewhere. So that's about what I got. I like New Orleans getting Malcolm Jenkins. I like Philly getting Javon Hargrave or whatever his name is. I like the Broncos getting Jarrell Casey.
4-7.
I like Cleveland getting Jack Conklin.
That was a big one.
Those are some of my favorites.
Or Christopher Harris going to the Chargers.
Harris
that's
going to the
wild.
Chargers is a great one.
I think that's better for Harris than I think it is for the Chargers. If you look at Harris, he was burnt last year. He reached the cliff.
Oh.
He's been getting burnt by
Dude,
by
I love Harris. I'm not gonna throw too much.
Listen,
shade
he's
at
not
him.
a Bronco anymore, so talk all your shit.
But if you look at all of his metrics, bro, like he got burnt.
He got at the Super Bowl. I'm good.
He got burnt. Like speed receivers ate him up. So what happens? I mean, damn it, I'm gonna give Kev a layup here. Whenever KC plays the Chargers and people want to sit here and talk about they don't want to play Tyreek or something like that, give me all that. Because I think he could beat any one of their corners.
The Chargers fucked up, baby.
Like I you know, there's a cliff for cornerbacks that comes, and it comes very, very quickly. And I think Harris has already seen it. So as far as free agency, man, I love the fact that we get Minshew Mania again. I absolutely love that. I think that dude has an actual ceiling that we have not seen yet. I think his rushing floor is higher than people give it credence for. I think that Jacksonville is going to be total crap and that it's going to make them throw the ball. And I love all of that. So I'll be targeting Minshew in a lot of my different leagues. I'll be targeting him in Dynasty. I think that he has some serious upside because they invested in him. They just traded away the guy that it was like, yes, it helped their salary cap and all that kind of stuff. Even I think the salary cap's a myth, but whatever. I love the fact that they just went in on the guy that played well for them last year as a rookie who did not get first team reps in camp and all these different things. So I guess one of my big takeaways is I'm going to be investing in Jacksonville and not Leonard Fournette, but the pass game. So I want Njoku to go there, and I will absolutely be smashing some Minshew wherever I can.
I got two more. Gerald McCoy to Dallas intrigues me. And then the absolute most slept on one that probably no one will talk about because the Jets are absolute trash, and I agree with them. However, their interior of their offensive line was so bad, and they just signed Connor McGovern, I think his name is, from the Broncos. He's a solid inside presence. It does help their offensive line, even though they'll still be trash. Also, this could be a juicy thing we could end on. Where is Darius Slay getting traded?
Whew.
Or where's Clowney going?
Nate, that's your wheelhouse. You haven't talked for 45 minutes, so why don't you tell us about Darius Slay?
I wonder, it's the Cam Newton thing. I wonder if teams want to take a look at Clowney's body. Sorry, before they sign him. I don't know.
I think so. Go ahead, Nate.
Oh, well, I mean, Slay asked to be traded, so he's going somewhere. But I think the bigger, more interesting thing is what the Lions do at number 3. Of course, there's a possibility somebody trades up for a quarterback ahead of them and Chase Young falls into our lap, and I'm a very happy person, but I think that chance is next to 0. There's a real possibility that the Lions takes Tua at 3, which means
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. And
with them being win now and Patricia's job being on, they have to win now or Patricia's going to be fired. They're going to take Tua?
What's Stafford, 33, 34?
32.
Stafford's only 32.
I'm damn sure Stafford is 32.
But do you think that Patricia does Bill Belichick a homeboy hookup and sends them Matt Stafford and then they take Tua?
That's where I was going with that. That was my next point. I think
Stafford is. Listen, I'm a big Stafford fan.
I love Stafford.
If Stafford's back is healthy, Stafford he's so good.
Stafford is 32.
Stafford is the most slept-on player in the league. The most slept-on player in the league.
He was a top 5 quarterback last year. Top 5.
He's the most slept-on player in the league, man. I love him.
Very, very real possibility of that. So, we'll see.
And Nate's like, and by the way, they're moving on, so deal with it.
All right, so getting back to the Slay news. I I would like to see him, and I think it's possible. Put him in Buffalo. Team him with Tre'Davious White. Give them two good
Josh
corners on the
Gordon.
outside.
Well, he was tweeting back. Not that he has any control over, but he was tweeting back and forth with a Raiders corner, Trayvon Martin or whatever it was.
Trufant.
What?
Desmond Trufant got signed, and he said,
Yep. He said, thanks, that'll help.
now that means I can get it.
Yeah, because they got Trufant and they got somebody else too. I thought.
He's probably
Places that make a lot of sense. I think the Bills. I think the Cowboys could go after him too. Tampa makes a lot of sense too.
I was thinking the 49ers too. The 49ers could go after him too.
Tampa, Niners, Titans,
Possible. Yep.
Colts.
Yep. All of those make good sense.
They could use the corner.
It's not going to take much, fellas. Like, I mean, it's a mid-round pick to get Slay.
I think he's the most intriguing shoot a drop that's left is Slay.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Not
I mean,
Jadeveon
because-
Clowney?
No, and that's why I brought up Clowney too. I don't know what I don't know. what's going on with
Clowney's
Clowney.
more for a rush defense than he is. He's more big name than he actually is as far as like he's better NFL than I think.
Making a difference.
Yeah.
I think he'll
I know where you're
command
going
too
with
much
that,
money,
better.
but the longer he stays on the market, maybe he won't make as much as we think. I don't know.
His injury history is pretty big.
That's
and
what I'm saying. I think
his
the
box
doctors
score
have to
numbers
look
for NFL teams, somebody's going to have to value his run stopping ability. And that's why they sign him and they give him the big money, because it's not because of the pass rush. It's not because of the sack numbers. He doesn't fill the box scores and get this like 15 sacks a year or whatever to sit here and get like this high end like edge rusher money. So
If you were starting a team and the price was the exact same, would you rather have Clowney or Slay? I'll say Slay.
how old is Slay? I got to remember this.
Let's say they're the same age. Screw it, they're the same age.
Same
I'd
age.
go Clowney.
Same age, I'll go Clowney. Because I think you see pass rushers, even with
Ryan,
the skill
Nate,
set,
Cody?
they'll age better. Most of them do.
Yeah, I'd probably rather have Slay, to be honest with you.
Let's go, baby.
But
Slay turned
I wouldn't feel
29.
good.
No,
They're
Cody,
29.
it doesn't matter. They're the same age.
Oh, they're the same age as Ben's like,
For this hypothetical,
Go
they're
ahead.
the same age.
Go ahead, Cody. I want to hear.
Oh, sorry.
Give me Slay.
Let's go.
What-
Same
How
age.
old is
Same
Nate?
age.
You're the
Slay.
tiebreaker.
Well, it doesn't matter, Ryan. They're the same age.
They're the same age.
They're the same
yeah.
age.
same age,
Same
same
price.
age, same age.
Same dick
I'd rather-
size.
they-
everything. It doesn't
They
matter.
were
Same
they were
girth.
born in the same hospital as well on the same day.
You know what?
Girthquake.
What I'll say.
Wait, Nate has to answer.
Nice, Cody.
Nate has the answer.
I'll take a pass rusher over a cornerback any day.
All right, we're split.
Yeah.
We're split 3-3.
That is terrible because an elite pass rush can cover up a bad secondary. Okay, a bad pass rush, your secondary. I don't give a fuck how elite it is. It's fucked because if you're not getting to the quarterback and you're giving him 6-7 seconds, every wide receiver in the league is gonna burn a corner. So you go with the pass rush.
Listen, I hear you. I think cornerbacks has started to get much more valuable though here over the last couple of years with the.
Really? Look at who. Okay, I don't mean to keep going back to this.
No, go.
This
Oh,
team,
boy.
but look at the Chiefs. They just won with Bashad Breeland and Shavarius Ward and
they were losing in every playoff
And-
game.
but-
if it wasn't for Pat Mahomes being God,
or
then
Chris
they would've
Jones.
won.
Like Chris Jones had no impact. He.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean,
They were actually a better defense whenever Chris Jones was off the field. I'll throw that out there.
So listen. I just wanted to get a little spicy before we got off. here.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
absolutely.
all right?
I
You
will
can't ever end
say
the
though.
podcast without Chiefs.
What are the Rams doing? Like, haven't heard from them.
They have
in-
no
in
clue.
years.
Can't. Well, they
Yeah,
can't. What are they
I
going to
mean,
do?
They're done.
Well,
They've invested
they
so
just
much money
got
in these top guys.
They
resigned
screwed
Whitworth,
themselves so
which was
bad.
good.
Bad contracts.
They
They're
lost
screwed.
Corey Littleton,
With-
right?
Yeah,
I
Littleton went
like
to
it. I
Raiders.
like Andrew Whitworth. I like Andrew
But for
Whitworth.
3 more
39.
years with Whitworth,
Well, I think that's just for salary cap purposes.
They invested in all of these guys, and basically every one of them
Forget.
like imploded.
Yeah,
They lost
That's what happens.
What's-
They trade draft equity to sit here and get Ramsey. They sign Gurley to a massive contract. They sign Cooks to a contract. Both those guys are linchpins of their team and taking up a large amount of their salary, and both of them
Sure.
are hurt or decline. The team they're going to struggle to win 8 games this year.
They lost Littleton, Fowler, and Brockers. They brought in Leonard Floyd. That's all they've done. Well,
Brought in Leonard Floyd.
that's
One
You're looking at
year,
you're looking at
9.5
an 8
guaranteed.
You're looking at an 8-win team, and then everybody's going to be calling for McVay's head. The Wonder Boy lust and shine is going to be gone.
on a big picture scale, though, I think that is one of the most interesting things. Is there's a lot of like turnover in terms of what teams are good in the NFL and what teams are bad. And I know that happens every year, but it feels like there's a lot of that happening right now on like a bigger picture scale where New England's coming down. I think New Orleans, as they get, I'm sorry, Derek, they're really old now. Like they're going to start to come down. You got Tampa Bay rising up. Cincinnati's rising up. They've made some really good moves in free agency, about to draft Joe Burrow. I think it's going to be a really ugly holdout with AJ Green. But if you can get all those pieces together, like Cincinnati, you can make an argument, 8-8, like they're as competitive as some of these teams. So it's very fascinating right now. Kind of the landscape is changing.
It really is. And that's one of the big reasons why I think you could possibly have, I think it's possible you see 3 playoff teams come out of the NFC South.
Ooh.
I think that's possible.
Obviously,
I think
everybody but Carolina, right?
Yep. If Atlanta continues what they did.
Well, there's 7 playoff teams now, right?
Oh,
no, not until 21. Not until 21.
Really? I
Right?
thought it was immediate.
I think
Is it immediate?
Yeah, I think playoffs.
By the
got it.
way,
Okay, my bad.
New playoff. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, come on. This
So
is.
unnecessary.
But let's be honest.
Stupid.
So
Let's be honest. You're
unnecessary.
going to say that now, but whenever we get to the playoffs, you're going to be like, "This is fucking fantastic," especially week 1 of DFS.
Yeah.
Whenever there's that extra game in there,
But see,
and now all of a sudden we get it.
I mean,
Everybody's gonna be like, "Man, this is fantastic."
But the 4-game slate, though, I'm a traditionalist. Anyways, I'll be happy with it. But
I'm gonna wait for.
Do we really
I'm gonna
need
watch
Duck
your
Hodges
tweets very closely
quarterbacking?
once we get to fantasy playoffs next year, and see where you lie.
Listen, I'm not saying I won't do that, Kev, but the 4-game playoff slate is sacred to me. And now I'll just get 2 3-game slates. I'll be happy with it. My bigger picture is I don't like the 2 seed losing a bye. I hate that. And on top of that, do we need Duck Hodges and these type of teams in the 7 seed?
Oh,
in the playoff? No, we
No.
don't. They're not. We don't. It's just stupid to me. But whatever. More football. I'll get over it.
more money, they're just going to turn it into the NBA.
More money.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't think it was a needed move by any means. But I'm just saying, I know when it
Kev,
comes, we're all gonna be happy. Everyone's still gonna be happy about it.
Chiefs get the 2 seed, don't have a bye. I'm not saying they still wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. I'm just saying like that helped to them. Like if you get a 2 seed in
2 seed's a big thing,
in a
man.
long ass NFL season, especially now that they're adding a game, Mahomes got hurt. Like you have to factor in all these variables, and now the 2 seed doesn't get a bye. I think it's bullshit. I hate it.
I don't like the 2 seed part. I really don't. But do I like more teams in the playoffs? Because I think any chance that any team has a chance to get hot, if the team is deserving in that sense, like if the NFC or these other teams, like if there's a lot of disparity between the top and the bottom, as opposed to like some like team limping in at 7-9 and getting in the damn playoffs that doesn't deserve it, then that's
Right.
that's
But that's
fine.
what's gonna
Then it's fine. I don't know, man. I think
I think it's more of an opportunity.
It depends the landscape. You have the haves and the have-nots. I think that it depends on how much parity you look in the NFL. If it's more spread out, then yes, I agree with you in that sense. If there's more of a division and there's this tier of really good freaking teams, then you're not seeing that other really good team left out.
Yeah, it would be very rare for a
Depends.
7-9 team to get in, Ben, because that I mean, a lot of people talk about that with the Rams and Cardinals or whoever the fuck it was in NFC West or Seattle,
Seahawks.
and they
Seattle
finished. Yeah,
Seahawks.
that was for the division though, so only one of those teams would have made it,
That's
and then
true.
you would have taken another team from probably the NFC East that year,
That's true.
and put them in. So
That's true.
You look at it; it's probably a team that gets 9-7, or maybe even 10-6, depending on how some of these cellar dweller teams are.
I think it's just an opportunity too, just to get a bigger market in. Like last year, I think would have Dallas have made it last year, or not Dallas, but
it would have been Pittsburgh and
Philly.
and the
Would
Rams.
Philly have
And the
made it?
Rams.
That's what I was
The
going
Rams.
with.
No,
Philly.
Rams would have made
Rams,
it. Rams
'cause
would have
Philly
made it.
One and seeing the Rams in the
Really didn't.
playoffs would have actually been interesting.
Yeah,
Nobody
alright.
gives a shit about the Steelers that last year.
Right.
I don't want to see them play playoff football. They don't deserve to even win
Nobody
4
ever cares
games
about the
last year.
Steelers anyway.
No.
The Steelers are bum.
Rams would have been interesting. They would have lost. But it would have been interesting.
Okay. Dude, talking that smack because he got that ring now. Anything
man.
else, guys?
Congrats,
I mean,
Kev.
are we?
Kevin's forehead hunting. That's all that dude's doing.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is, 20. It's been almost 20 minutes that Ben was like, "All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's hurry up. All right, I gotta get one more thing out, And 20 minutes later, here we
Not
are.
done.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've been bottling them all up, man. So
We definitely have to do this again, though. I do know that.
let's go.
Definitely, we gotta see what these
100%
landing spots
after the
are. And
draft.
Derek and I definitely have to be on the pod, figure out where DeAndre Hopkins is finishing in the ranks.
Me and
That's always
Ryan
fun to
versus
go
Derek
back.
and Kev.
I'll stick by my words, man. If that's the case, I'll eat it. I will happily.
It's
You know,
yours to
you gotta
stick
stay. You
by.
gotta stick by it, dude.
I
You
feel
put it
like
out
I
there,
had
space.
a,
Stick by.
I feel like I had a solid amount of times where Derek and Ryan both agreed with me in separate instances. I feel comfortable about my takes today.
You don't care about Kev, Nate, or Cody, huh?
No, I mean, fuck Kev, but
Y'all
Cody and Nate
bunch
are
of
cool.
haters. You know,
I can't
But
even
I'm
remember
always
what
right.
we were
I'm
talking
always
about.
right.
Y'all made me agree with Kev one time, and that's too many
Just
times.
remember,
for a
I
pod.
will always
Too many
remember
times.
that I was on the side of Robert Woods was actually a good wide receiver, and Ryan will always be on the side of Tavon Austin was valuable. Ben was
And
too.
I was
Ben was too.
always
you
on the
got-
side of Devontae Adams about to get in that ass, and you said that he was washed,
Um,
and now he's
But
now
I don't
he's
remember
top
that.
tier.
I don't
If,
remember
if,
that.
he's
if,
top
if,
tier.
if,
We run
if
the
we're
thing
going,
back.
if we're going back down memory street, didn't I get a lot of hate for saying fade Michael Thomas in the playoffs?
I don't remember that.
and
I
on,
don't
Thanksgiving,
know.
Oh, my God.
and on Thanksgiving, I listened to that podcast. But
I said Sammy Watkins was good and he won a Super Bowl. So
I realized that
Talk up the dubs.
So did Byron Pringle,
up the
baby, the
dubs.
goat.
I realized that I was just talking shit on Kev, but he's really gonna sit here and act like I wasn't the leader of the Robert Woods fan club. Fuck out of here, man.
Oh,
didn't.
love it.
Ben's done.
Love it.
I mean, I'm the one that
Nate, what
sparked
call you
that
got?
debate.
Nate, you need a call. What call you got right now? Bold call, anything.
Terribly wrong, or that I
No, I'm just saying, just
Ooh,
make a call right now so
every-
that we could go
All
back
six
and
of us,
hold you to it.
All
Yeah.
6 of us leave with a hot take off the dome.
All right.
I'm sure they were all somewhere. The big call this year, I like Kenny Galladay as a top 5.
Okay.
that.
Okay. I'm gonna hold you to that. We also gonna hold you to the swap, the trade with Belichick getting Stafford, and then the Lions drafting Tua. If that happens, I would give you credit on that.
And they,
Go
they
ahead.
just couldn't lose to the Cardinals. They had to tie him, and now we're not going to get Chase Young. That's the Lions for you. They're either not crappy enough or just crappy enough to break your heart.
Amen. Well, at least most of y'all got a first round pick. Us here in Chicago, we just got Nick Foles. So, but that's how it be sometimes. Well, boys, free agency pod.
Where's
Thank you
everybody
guys.
else? I thought we were waiting for everybody's bold prediction.
Wait. I thought we were getting bold takes off
Well,
the dome.
everybody
You're
else-
fine. You're shutting
Hold
it
on.
down.
All 6 of us bold take off the dome right now.
I'm just saying, everybody else has like takes the whole time.
Let's recap this a little bit before we go.
We
through
had
all
the
this.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Ben said
right?
I'm done. Ben said I'm done. And then he said I want more. Ryan said let's keep going. And then he's trying to shut it down. I feel like the world is just flipping upside down right now, man. Like I don't even know where I'm at.
Hey, that COVID got me feeling some type of way, man. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
a quarantine life,
So
baby.
just really quickly, we got one. I want everybody else's scorching hot bold prediction for
Can I
2020.
go? Can I go?
Yes.
Okay, Yannick Ngakoue was franchised by Jacksonville. He will be traded to a contender within the next month, whatever. That's not the hot take. He will be the Super Bowl MVP on whatever team he gets traded to.
Whew.
Ooh.
Mm.
It just came to me, guys. I don't know.
Hmm.
All right. Well, that was bad. All right.
Cody?
Somebody have a good
Nope.
one.
No, I just feel like whatever I'm gonna say is not gonna live up to that. It's just gonna be stupid. It's not gonna be scorching hot at all. I was gonna say Noah Fant, top 3 tight end, but
Let's go.
after
Let's go.
Ben said that, like I feel dumb.
I was gonna say Fant, and I was like, no, it's too homer. Let's think of something stupid. I love it, Cody. Let's go.
I like that call.
Derek?
All right, screw it. Calvin Ridley is a wide receiver 1.
Like a wide receiver or the wide receiver 1?
He's a top 12 this year. It's gonna
I don't think
happen.
that's bold enough. I think
Not bold enough. Top 10.
No.
Not bold
pretty
enough?
bold.
Say
That's
say
pretty
he
bold.
outscores Julio. Do it.
He outscores Julio.
Oh,
he
said
I said it. He outscores Julio.
All right, mine is Josh
I'll go with
Jacobs
it.
finished as a top 3 running back this year.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna say that Taysom Hill will be a starting quarterback in the year 2020 for a team, not New Orleans.
He just trying to piss me off.
Oh, I was like, don't you dare put that back. You better.
Ryan was
said not
like,
New
let me
Orleans.
find something that's going to get everybody heated and that carry this podcast on for
course.
another 20 minutes.
Mm.
He doesn't want to see it. It's like the podcast that'll never end. So we just had
Let
to
it
end it with something.
burn. Let
Derek,
it burn, baby.
Derek and Kevin, so that I can actually give a fantasy hot take. DeAndre Hopkins will be the wide receiver 1. Ryan, let's go.
Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
I don't even know if I believe it, but I said it.
Hey, you need to double down on that bet though. You got to place that somewhere. Place that on the sports book. Double down.
FanDuel, let's go.
Oh man, hot takes all around. Nate, you kicked it off, so everybody's just trying to follow your lead. Well, thank everybody so much for joining us tonight. It's been real fun. It's definitely, like, for me personally, just nice to talk about football, talk about something else that we all care about, all are invested in, and, bless the NFL for still sticking around and being able to do this for us. It's been great to talk about the 2020 free agency landing spots. There's going to be a lot more action happening, a lot more going on. So make sure you guys are following along. Fantasy Authority at FF Authority. I know that, I can speak, Cody, you can speak to it too, but speaking for Cody, I know you're doing a lot of work for Dynasty, putting out article content every week that people can go in and still have something that they can grasp onto. And then we got to get ready for the draft, see where these guys are landing, and keep everything going. So make sure you guys are keeping up with everything going on Twitter. No DFS going on right now. So me and Kev have been dying with the DGen Nation. So can't wait for that to come back a lot. But signing off for everybody, going around the horn for Nate Henry at Nate Henry FF, Kevin Steele, Fantasy Rad 13, Derek Brown at DBro_FFB, Cody Kutzer at C Kutzer FF, and then Ben
And Ben.
at Ben
And
Cummins.
Ben, that's it.
Ben Cummins FF.
My
is
Twitter
where you
handle
can
doesn't
find him.
provide value. It's fine.
I am Ben. Hello, I am Ben. That needs to be your Twitter
It's-
background image or whatever it's called.
It's Zebo and Zebediah and hi, I'm Jeff. Hi.
I wish I could mute you.
My name
Signing
is
up for
Ben.
all of those guys.
Hi,
I'm
guys.
Ryan
I'm
Williams. At Ryan Alexander _W is where you can find me on Twitter. We signing out with the TFA Fantasy Authority, the free agency podcast frenzy. Catch you guys on the Twitter sphere. We out.
Yo, those